Chastanet, and we are live today. We're starting our program today live on channel 115 GBD TV, also right here on Sky FM, and we will be doing the rebroadcast tomorrow at 8:30, also on channel 115 GBD TV. Gentlemen, a special good morning to you. How are you, sir?
Morning, Mr. Champagne. Oh, it comes. Oh, I see. Yeah, morning. Morning, Mr. Champagne.
Yes, sir.
Morning, St. Lucia. Always wonderful to be here. Before we start we're going to get to the bottom of what we have to discuss today.
Yeah.
A couple situations have arisen which attracted my attention. And that is, first of all, I picked up the Voice newspaper this morning, and the headlines on the Voice was referring to a big picture of Cabot.
My goodness.
Yeah. And you can probably show it to the nation.
With all what is happening with the
All what is
coronavirus.
happening today. And on page 5,
Yeah.
where the Prime Minister and his counterparts,
Right.
based on all the connections they made overseas for the last 2 years, when everybody said he was traveling, has paid dividends today because the Prime Minister has actually a direct contact with the Prime Minister of India.
Wow.
And various other stakeholders who got together and provided the vaccines for the Caribbean nations.
Can I read what it says? It
Sure,
says here on the
sure,
front page of The Voice, National Trust questions legality of works currently undertaken or underway by Cabot. In
Yeah.
all of what is happening
All
in
of what
St.
is
Lucia with the
happening
coronavirus,
today. You
this
know,
is the headline?
Yeah, this is the headline here. And if you go to page 5,
Yes, I have page 5
yeah,
right here.
which is what should have been on the headlines, okay?
It says here, Barbados, Eastern Caribbean countries receives indicative allocations of COVID-19 vaccines from COVAX facility.
Okay, yeah.
And that is on page 5.
Page 5.
Wasn't that supposed to be the front page?
I would imagine so. I would imagine so. But that's when one has to look at their priorities. But something I picked up this morning on the BBC News, very early this morning, was that one of the chief scientists in South Africa, who was giving the U.S. Authorities his findings in South Africa. Because if we recall, they said that the South African strain of the variant was quite worrisome. And what he said, that the vaccine which we are getting now, I think it's called the Azena, which we're getting
AstraZeneca or
today.
something like that.
I think it is called anyway, it is the one manufactured by Oxford University. I always felt, not that I'm saying the British are better than anybody else, but I had a lot of confidence in the British at Oxford University because of their past.
Okay.
Now, what the South African scientists said today, that vaccine manufactured in the UK has a far stronger control over the virus in South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, he said 2/3 of all the vaccine of that vaccine administered showed sign of complete recovery.
Wow, that is great
And these
news.
are the vaccines that we get.
That is great news.
Yeah, these are the vaccines.
And is that the same one where you don't need 2 shots? Or
You only need
do
one shot. Yeah.
That is great
And that's
stuff.
what we're getting.
Yes.
You know?
This is the one we're getting.
Yeah, that's
You
the
know,
one.
I rang the bell this morning for the Prime Minister
Yeah.
in being able to get this vaccine in such a quick time.
Yeah.
Because we were here in June, we were here in August, maybe
Correct,
this year. And when I heard that last night, that the Prime Minister said in the next 2 weeks.
That's right. You know, based on what you just said, I did a little script of what I should say about it.
Yeah.
While some persons flaunt the protocols, then end up with COVID at Victoria, placing nurses and doctors under unwarranted stress, similar to those speeding needlessly on our roads and ending up with all sorts of physical damage. This is the major cost to the nation every step of the way as we abuse our bodies, leaving someone else to pick up the tab. The Prime Minister, in his wisdom, and all his connections at the various United Nations meetings had to act swiftly ahead of all forecasts regarding the attainment of a vaccine. The choice you made, St. Lucia, on June the 6th, 2016, has today paid dividends by choosing an individual and his team to lead your nation. This is the caring aspect of an individual that is not easily found in today's world. St. Lucians must now reflect on the importance of choosing the right person for the right job. The AstraZeneca AZD1222 vaccine, manufactured by Oxford University, has turned out to be extremely efficient, and based on a report from a top scientist in South Africa who was responsible for discovering the variant COVID virus, has substantiated that this vaccine remains the most effective on the market today for that strain. So, you see how lucky we are in St. Lucia. And when certain people may have actually been rejoicing at what was happening with the rising cases, you can tell how they were acting there politically, okay? And you see how life is funny, that this vaccine is now coming almost 7 weeks ahead of time. And
that is good news.
today is already the second?
Today is the third.
The third. So you're talking in 18 days' time, that vaccine will be here. And I don't know whether they're going to use, but I overheard last night that an extra 35 nurses and doctors are arriving from Cuba to assist. Now, whether they're coming to assist with with vaccination, I don't know, or to deal with the additional cases. But that having been said, that is how proactive this government has been to be able to ensure. And yet, what do they tell you? That they will put lives first. Yeah. But who is putting lives first now? Okay.
And the vaccine is one aspect. To get the vaccination, you have to have people that are trained professionally. It's not just like taking a needle and just injecting someone. There's a way that these things are done.
Correct.
So the vaccine is one aspect, but getting people vaccinated is something.
Yeah. And I would assume really, Champagne, that based on the fact that Cuba has already developed, I understand, a vaccine, and they've produced 1 million, so they're probably well up to date in what they're doing. And because we need to reflect on what has happened in the great United States, where only 1/3 or 1/2 of the vaccines produced have been actually vaccinated people with. Whereas in India, India has put out 250,000 nurses and doctors and have vaccinated over 360 million people, which is more than the population of America.
That is a lot of people.
India has 1.6 billion people. So they have to move quickly. But, by this administration, keeping abreast with the times, touching base with people like India, also the United Kingdom, they now understand the importance of putting a proper team in place, because there's no point getting the vaccine and not be. As a matter of fact, in reading the newspaper today, that's a point that was made by the individuals telling the Caribbean islands to ensure that these vaccines don't just sit there. And that is why the CMO and her team are already putting a program in place. So as soon as that vaccine hits the ground,
they could be administered immediately.
And this is really what I wanted.
That's your preamble for today. This
discussion. My preamble will come later.
Okay, beautiful. So over to you, Mr. Josie.
Yeah, I just want to make a short comment on what Mr. Michael just said about the headline in The Voice.
Let me put it up again for St. Lucia to see.
It seems obvious to me that the people who put that headline in the newspaper, and it has to be only one person in charge of that, I'm sure, doesn't seem to understand that that cannot be a priority at this time. And it reminds me that nobody has asked the new Labour Party, that is the Labour Party of Philippe Pierre and his deputy, what exactly do they mean putting people first? Do they mean that the government rebuilding very quickly, as they could, St. Jude Hospital is not putting people first? Isn't it people that are going to be in St. Jude working?
Yes, sir.
And when you're sick, you're in there? The people that are building St. Jude now under St. Lucian workers? Hewanora Airport, that is being constructed, and they have started digging the foundation. Isn't it St. Lucians and their people? What do you mean putting people first? What exactly do they mean? And do we take time to ask these guys these kind of questions? All the road work that is going on, who is building? Who is doing the work? Who is employed?
That's right.
The hotels that are open and some St. Lucians are employed there, and they people too? So to be people, it seems to me that you have to have a red shirt. You have to go and genuflect in front some kind of politician with a red shirt and a star. Is that what it means? I'm just asking. Is that what putting people first means? What about all the people that are working? What about what the Prime Minister has just done? I was surprised last night, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was happy.
Yeah.
I still am very happy for the people of St. Lucia. I'm happy for myself.
Yeah.
Because of all my mother's children, I love myself the best.
Oh, of course.
Okay, and I don't make apologies for that. I love my brothers and sisters a lot. But myself, if I'm not alive to help in time of need, what is the point in loving? So I will be one of the first persons in line. I think Sir Michael is a few years older than me. He might be ahead of me. But I will take this as soon as it becomes available to people like me. I will take the vaccine, and I'll feel safe having taken it.
Yes, sir.
So for me, as the Prime Minister said last night, and as you said this morning, and as Norbert said this morning, people are free to take it or reject it. But you must do it, you must take your position based on credible scientific information.
Yes.
Okay? In fact, even the leader of the opposition, to his credit, said so last night. Credible scientific information. The next thing Mr. Pierre has to do is to tell some of the ignoramuses that follow him, listen, it's in your interest to get yourself vaccinated. Okay? If you support me, get yourself vaccinated. And it is in the interest of the rest of the people who follow Prime Minister Alan Chastanet and the UWP, for the UWP chairperson or political leader to come out and say, all UWPs, if you are a true flambeau, make sure you get vaccinated. Okay? If the two can speak together as one, let Pierre make all the Labour Party get interested in being vaccinated, and let the UWP leaders cause all of their members to be vaccinated. If that is how we have to get the whole country done, that is how we must do it. Okay?
Wow.
So I stop here for now.
All right,
Yeah,
but
but
that is a little scary for me, in regards to if you're looking for a unified solution.
One point I forgot to raise was a particular friend of mine who developed COVID was taken to the hospital about 4 or 5 days ago. And I had the opportunity to speak to him on the telephone. And he said to me that, Mr. Chastanet, lying at Victoria Hospital, and I'm seeing all those people with COVID around me. And their families are calling in. And the stress those nurses were under, moving from one patient to another, because I think we have over 100 and something at Victoria today.
Yes,
now imagine that. That was so unnecessary. But when people do their nonsense, this is what happens. Now, these poor nurses and doctors have to be working around the clock, okay? Some of them, calling, doctor, do you think I will live? Am I going to be all right? You didn't know that before? You went there?
Oh, they're asking the doctor?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The doctor should say, I'm not God.
Yeah, correct. When the Prime Minister and the CMO told them, please wear your mask and distance, yet
And stay at home as much as
stay at home,
you
okay?
can.
Now you end up at the hospital, okay? And you want these people to wave a magic
work
wand that you
miraculous
get better,
ways.
right? Am I going to be okay? Will I die? You
Yes.
see? And that is unnecessary. And I only hope some St. Lucians who are listening today will take heed and understand that even though there's a vaccine around the corner, but there's still some months to go.
Yes.
Be careful.
That is right.
Okay. Now, that having been said, Champagne, I will start my preamble
go right
today.
ahead, sir.
The heading of my preamble today is Lives and Livelihood Go Hand in Hand. I repeat, lives and livelihood go hand in hand. The COVID cases in St. Lucia continue to spike at an alarming rate. This is certainly not good news, but more importantly, based on the preconditions of many St. Lucians, This will only make an untenable situation more worrisome. As the mortality rate is likely to increase, we are all aware of the numerous pleas made by the CMO and the Prime Minister over the past several weeks and months, and though some persons made an effort to adhere, there are individuals who continue flaunting the advice and by extension the laws of the land. Revisiting the ages of individuals contracting the virus speaks volumes. It is abundantly clear that individuals over 70 and children under 4 who normally stay at home and follow us contracted the virus from visitors of families and friends between the ages of 18 to 50 who are moving all about the place and have actually infected their own family and friends. So under these conditions, those persons now aware of the consequences of their actions need to advise their peers to avoid those thoughtless practices, because those thoughtless practices put us in the position, in the plight we are in today.
Right.
If St. Lucia continues on the present path, the nation can easily become ostracized by our neighbors and the outside world. The fact that 200 cases have tested positive in a batch of 350 tests is frightening. I have recently learned that several well-to-do business persons on island, well-known business persons, who have knowingly tested positive, are mingling with the public. If this is the case, the authorities need to take the necessary action. Government may wish to return to a curfew. I actually said so. I wrote this before the Prime Minister said that. Government may wish to refer to a curfew for a minimum of 90 days if the prognosis of that kind of increase remains on the horizon. Now, I heard the Prime Minister say that the curfew will be up for 9 days, okay?
Yeah.
So maybe I had the wrong place. But I think we need to send a strong message to St. Lucia that we have to get serious. St. Lucia appears to be accelerating to a kind of lawlessness which is certainly not in keeping with a civilized country. And unfortunately, the political atmosphere in that regard is partly responsible. On my way here this morning, I heard yourself and Mr. Josie talking about the prison and what they're doing.
Yeah.
Again, that is their form of lawlessness. Now, this happens because when they pick up the vibes that they can do what they want, this is what transpires.
That's what happens.
You cannot run a country without laws.
That's right.
Okay? Our nation is divided 50-50 from a political standpoint, and once the opposition continues pampering offenders for political mileage, the nation will be operating at odds. We don't have far to go. Just look at the great United States and what transpired on January 6th. One party, one man, defying the law of the land is having a deadly effect on the greatest nation on earth. No one is above the law, and the U.S. administration must address this callous affair to maintain democracy and send a clear message to the world, and we in St. Lucia need to recognize the consequences. On a brighter side, let me express to the nation my observations over the weekend. I visited 3 areas of interest over the weekend, which made me so very proud. My first visit was to the new HIA terminal, and the photos on your screen as I speak will confirm my excitement.
Yes.
Okay.
So we want to do a little bit of a footage for our people. So St. Lucia, so Michael went down to the south last weekend, and we're going to be giving you a little bit of footage from HIA, which is the Hirondale International Airport, the St. Jude's, and what was the other one you said?
Yeah, I will deal with them in sequence.
Okay,
let us finish it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is HIA right now.
Yeah.
So he's showing HIA
The
now.
image which you are witnessing is centered on a 54-acre site. The rigs and drills on this site remind me of a major site exploring for oil, but in reality it represents a high-tech operation for evaluating the quality of soil for the construction of a magnificent terminal. In the next 30 to 40 days, the actual piling of this project will be well on its way, and towards the first half of 2021, all piling should be completed, and we will see the rising of a new terminal. At this time, dozens of small heavy equipment owners are already enjoying the impact of putting the heavy equipment on trucks to good use. Speaking to one of the owners of an excavator, he indicated that it was taking place here today. What is taking place here today reminds him of what his uncle had shared with him when Hess transformed the Cul-de-sac Valley into an international oil storage facility. I recall talking to myself, Champagne, to some of the people who had heavy equipment. And a lot of them owned homes after that was done.
That's with
based on the kind of revenue they received because of the heavy equipment. Because we should recall, or we should be aware of, that some piece of equipment rent as much as $250 a day. Sorry, an hour. Okay, so that only gives you an idea of what is going to go on. There's a lot of, I would estimate, Champagne, right now in St. Lucia, there are over 400 pieces of heavy equipment or more on island.
Wow.
A lot of them, this equipment, were laying idle, and now look at what they're going to have there. This owner was so ecstatic over the fact that himself and his fellow owners will be meaningfully employed for at least another 18 months. As an individual looking over that site, I was really taken aback by the extensive nature of the project. But even more exciting was the fact that in the next 90 days, some 400 persons will be hired. Okay. Now, from this site, I traveled to the St. Jude's Hospital, and again, I witnessed over 200 persons hard at work. A whole lot of plumbers and their assistants were deeply engaged in the final stages of a major plumbing exercise, which I actually saw on Norbert's show last night, to a hospital capable of housing over 100 patients and a staff of 150, including nurses, doctors, and maintenance crew. Around February 4th, which is, I think, tomorrow or day after, some 400 2-ton panels, again, I think Norbert showed pictures of it, all fabricated locally, will be erected, and within 10 days, the contractor indicated that at least 70% of the entire hospital will be fully cladded. The reason for having the cladding attached so quickly is based upon a new technology being used at major hospitals worldwide. Standing at one end of the facility, I was overly impressed with the quality and layout of the hospital that I suggested to the contractor that if the COVID situation eases up in the near future, he should arrange for some teachers and students at the various schools to visit the facility, as it would be an eye-opener for these individuals to witness the technology going on. Now, what was most impressive to me was the fact that my next stop was at the Grace Water Project pioneered by Vinci. I think my technician will put it on the screen. A top-class organization from France, which is currently responsible for desilting the John Compton Dam, the construction of both water supply stations in Dennery North and South, and presently in the Vieux Fort area. On your screen, please observe the ongoing works, which will be completed by September 2021, automatically increasing the daily supply of water in the South from 1.5 million gallons per day to 5 million gallons per day. This was such an I had not seen this project before, but when I saw what was going on, I was so impressed. That's a project that's in the first phase is costing $17 million US, and having discussed it with the contractor, there's a second phase of $6 million where they're going to bring in a lot of tanks to ensure that in the dry season that the water will be there. This was such an amazing weekend to observe the infrastructure of St. Lucia being so seriously addressed. On my return to Castries on Monday, I stopped over in the cul-de-sac valley to witness surveyors at work in preparation for the largest bridge ever constructed in St. Lucia between the St. Lucia government and the Japanese government. This bridge will take the cul-de-sac valley to new heights based on the fact that the flooding which has taken place over the last 30 years will be addressed once and for all. The project should be completed in 18 months. St. Lucia, this is what I picked up over the weekend. And before I hand over to my partner, I just want to make one further comment. When I listen to the opposition saying, give people money, and I see the hundreds of people working,
Yep.
and that money goes to feed other people. Because statistically, every person employed feeds 4 people.
That is true.
So, of the 2,000-3,000 people being employed today, multiply that by 4.
Yes, sir.
Another
We're talking
12,000 people
Yes,
are
sir.
benefiting from that.
That is right.
Now tell me something. Do you have to be a genius to understand that?
And here's the problem. If you give these monies away, you still have the problem.
Correct.
So where do you get the next set of monies
Precisely.
to
But
construct those
apart
problems?
from all of that, I didn't have a chance to go in to the ITBO call
Oh,
center
yes. Oh, it's beautiful.
and the Ojo Labs.
Oh, Joe Lambs, yes.
But I just stood up outside and saw the traffic going in and out. Although half of the people are working from home, so you can imagine if everybody is
Everybody
working,
is
what it
working,
would be
yes,
like.
yes.
So St. Lucia, I say to all of you today, we are on the right track.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you.
And to you, sir, with your preamble.
Give the people the money.
Give the people the money. That's what they keep
But you
saying.
see, Champagne, those of us who are old enough and who are paying attention know that this was the same strategy that was used in 1996, coming up to the 97 general elections. That people in the banana industry were being told, for some reason, that Compton was not paying them, that Gis was taking their money,
Yes,
that
that
this
was
one
said.
had their money.
Yes.
Okay? So they evolved it into a point where they developed the phrase coupe, pas coupe. Coupe, pas coupe. Okay? Today, it will be interesting to know who is couping and who is pas couping. Okay? We saw that Winfresh has folded up. The banana growers can't get their money. And that is how many years after 1997?
Oh, yes.
Who were the
23,
people who came in
24
there in
years.
1997 to take over? Did they think they were punishing John Compton? Where is John Compton? The children and grandchildren of these banana growers are the ones who are in charge now. And they're still trying to use the strategy that is labor, new labor, of giving people money. Give people, of course, if anybody get money freeness, that is why so many people play the lotto. Take a chance. St. Lucians love the word chance and pour chance. So when you say give the people the money, you're exciting them right away as if somehow Alan Chastanet is owing them or the government is owing them. Somebody has some freeness money for them.
So can I interject? How long will that money be given? For what period of time? Because at some point that money will run out.
Well-
Even if you were to go that way to give the people the money, where will you continue to get that money to be given out to people?
That is a good question to ask. And the people should ask those persons that are saying to give the people the money, should ask those people the question. And one of the things, Champagne, I brought my mind back to the early 70s. A lot of the young Rastas, because St. Lucia, the Rastafarian cult, was just developing. And some of these young Rastas in 1970, 71, 72 used to walk about with a Bible.
Yeah.
And they used to concentrate on Proverbs. Proverbs is a nice book. I like the book of Proverbs. And one of the things that I learned about the book of Proverbs is its emphasis on words, how we speak. And in chapter 16, verse 24, and chapter 18, verse 21, we learn about the power of words. And we learn also in the Bible that God can use words to lift up his people. We in turn must use words to raise people up, because words can be used as weapons.
It's true.
If you are not careful how you speak to children, especially young people, you abuse them with words, you can actually destroy a young life. So it's very important. And I'm saying all of this to say that it's something I wanted to say last week, which I forgot. One of the worst things is almost a crime against the individuals, almost, I said. For you to be taking a person's words when it is meant for good and try to twist it and make it look as if it's something bad you are saying. Someone has to pay for this twisting of words that is going on in St. Lucia, trying to change the people's minds from the path of truth and righteousness and putting it in a negative way.
All right.
As far as the Prime Minister is concerned and the effort he is making, we have spoken about that. I am saying that nobody in St. Lucia today could do what the Prime Minister is doing. None. Even his best friends and colleagues, I don't think, would have the contact, the charisma, and the presence that it takes to do that job. And I say so without fear of contradiction. Because there are some people who have presence, Champagne.
Yes, sir.
Presence.
That is true.
When you see these people appear in front of you, you may not know them. You can feel there's an aura that has approached you. This is true, and people who are young and inexperienced will not know that. There are people, when they enter a room, even when your head is down, you can feel something new has happened in that space. That is the kind of person Jesus Christ was, and those he has blessed, that is how they are. So some people...
You know, Peter, what you're saying is so true. I'll just remind St. Lucia. When Bill Clinton came to St. Lucia, and there was a big function at the Sanders Grand,
Yeah.
I can't remember which
Prime Minister?
individual made that comment. I suspect it's Rick Wayne, who told me when this man walked in, there was just a whole air of acceptance and aura around him, which is what you just saying there.
So, Michael, with due respect to you, I'm not saying things that I don't know.
Sorry?
I'm not talking anything that I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And the person doesn't even have to be a man as important as Bill Clinton. The presence, some people just have that. So I'm saying to you, Alan Chastanet did not make himself, but he has it. He has it. Okay? And I am sure that Alan Chastanet will enter a room with any of these other politicians.
Anywhere.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere.
And people will feel his presence.
Anywhere.
Okay? And it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with skin complexion or skin tone or anything like that. So let me say something else to you, Champagne. I was so happy to hear the Prime Minister when he spoke last night.
Spoke well. Beautiful.
Yes. And I was surprised that he introduced so many people to speak, but that was okay. But one of the things I was even happier about, although I didn't quite hear it the way I expected to hear it, was the extension of the testing through private labs. And there's a station, television station in St. Lucia, that asks people, its viewers on the streets, should they have more testing in private labs? Almost everybody said yes, agreed, they should have it. Only one person, a woman from Vieux-Fort, asked the question that everybody else was afraid to ask and has not asked clearly. She asked, who is going to pay for the test in the private labs? People take their private money, they invested it in that, that is what they like, that is what they know. You want to get tested in private labs, so who is going to pay? Is it the government? And I said, I must come here and ask you to ring the bell. Not yet, for this lady. Because you know what? I don't want to be prejudiced. But Vieux-Fort has some of the brightest people in St. Lucia. And I can tell you why. Because we have more mixtures of blood in the terms of the Americans. Barbadians came, they made children in Vieux-Fort, mixed with Vieux-Fort. We had more Indians, we had more Carib Indians, we had people from Trinidad who came to help in building the roads with the Americans. All kinds of people. So we have a greater genetic makeup of people than any other part of St. Lucia.
And especially you are from there as well.
I'm from there, but that's what the other day I told you. I have all the blood mixtures in me. My grandmother on my mother's side is Carib Indian. My grandfather is from India. His people are from India. My father's side is African.
So you want me to ring the bell for the...
So the lady who asked the question, And up to now, the television people have not taken out the call. Ring the bell for that lady.
All right, beautiful. All right, so Michael.
Okay, so I'll stop for now.
Yes, thank you. I want to go back to this headline there on the front page of the Voice newspaper today, and it says there midweek, the Voice midweek, which is today. And I want to put it up here for St. Lucia to see. It says here, National Trust questions legality of works currently underway by Cabot. The reason why I want to go back there is in all of this pandemic, the way the health fraternity is trying to put to, so we could have this thing simmered down some way. The Prime Minister, the Ministry of Health, everybody else, the frontline workers working very hard, they're risking their lives. And this is what
appears
on the national,
but
on the
more than it preparing on the Voice campaign. Read who is raising the question. The National Trust. Yeah. The National Trust that's supposed to be looking after the people too. This is what they're interested in. They don't give a damn about vaccines.
Can you believe it?
Yeah. This is unbelievable.
The National Trust believes in the National Trust. Yeah. The people have said.
So what does it tell you? The politics at play again. And when they talk about they're putting lives first. When the Prime Minister is the one putting lives at first, by going out and getting a vaccine for the nation, explaining, as I showed you on page 5, all about the vaccine and what other islands had got it, but you're talking about Cabot, okay?
So the coronavirus at the moment is not important to the National Trust and their members.
Evidently.
Wow. So they have been under the radar for such a little while now, maybe a couple months, so they want to get back in the spotlight.
Correct.
They want
to stay alive.
And who are these people? Who are they? Don't answer the question. Who are they? That is the question St. Lucians should ask themselves. Sakise Munsa Agason. Sakise Munsa.
I don't want to dwell on it. I just wanted to put it up to our viewers and our listeners.
You did what you had to do by bringing it to the attention of the public.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about VH now, and I will say something about the Victoria Hospital, which has been transformed now into a respiratory hospital. And I know Brother Peter and yourself will agree with me. The OKEU was opened sometime last year, administered for the general public. No one knew the coronavirus was going to be around in 2020, March of 2020, or maybe at the end of 1919 in China. Had that OKU hospital not been opened in 2020, was it 2020 or 2019?
The year before.
The year before that, 2019. Had that OKU hospital not been opened, where would St. Lucia be today with this coronavirus?
Good question.
On top of that,
that's the foresight.
Thank you very much, and I want to ring the bell on you using that word. The vision of this government along with the Prime Minister. Let me just finish for 1 minute. To allow Victoria Hospital to be transformed into a respiratory hospital where we today have over almost 200 patients at the Victoria Hospital. Go ahead.
But you know what was the most wicked and vicious thing about that hospital, man? To me, you know what hurts the most? The way the people of St. Lucia were fooled and tricked. There was a big ceremony.
Yes, sir.
There's a plaque, open a hospital. Yes. And that thing stayed down because somebody had told me, a nurse whom I knew, she's probably retired now, said, Mr. Josie, that thing not opening now. I said, what do you mean? But you can't open a hospital without a laundry or without a kitchen. I don't think they have either of these things. So that is just a big show. I said, my God. And I'm sure, Champagne, that 99.9% of the people of St. Lucia, including me, thought that hospital was going to be officially opened. If I had a problem, I would go there.
The SLP, St. Lucia would be in a disastrous place. It would be a disastrous place today. The SLP would not have opened OKU had they won the 2016 election.
They couldn't open it. I don't know why.
I'm repeating that. Had St. Lucia not opened its windows or its doors of the OKU by the Prime Minister today, this country would be in a disaster. Because the Labour Party would not open OKU.
With that coronavirus?
Let me make a comment.
They would not open it.
To both yourself and Brother Peter about, forget Labour Party forget, just concentrate on the analogy which I'm going to present to the nation today. Running a government, despite all what they said about the Prime Minister, is like running a business.
Yes.
If you're taking in millions and millions of dollars every day from taxpayers and put into the treasury to run a country, that makes it a business because you have to remain accountable.
That's right.
When you receive people's money, you have to say what you're going to do with it. Now, I said time and time again, anybody becoming a politician should have some business, sort of business background to understand. And that is why it was never opened. Let me tell you something. As the teacher just said, and I know that for a fact because I was there. There was no laundry, there was no cafeteria, and more importantly, there was no proper fire escape at the OKEU, all right? The air conditioning.
Even with all that missing, they still came out and had a naming ceremony.
The air conditioning.
Yes.
That was a bluff,
right?
Bluff.
Which was there. The warranty had gone, okay, had gone.
Wow.
So, you know, they were stuck between a rock and a hard place, okay? So consequently, they didn't have the training to go there. Nobody found the time to go there and say, look at me, this has to be done. And that is our point.
Would you agree that if the SLP had remained in power after the 2016 election, we are not goddess, we are not Nostradamus, but for me, I can say that if the SLP had won the 2016 election and we are facing right now with the coronavirus, we would be in more trouble than we are.
A lot of trouble. But as you just said there, Victoria would not have been
Transformed
available.
into a
we would have still
respiratory
be hanging around.
Yes.
What would we have done? Look at the mess we would have been in. Okay?
And talking about the 2016 election, and so Michael just said mess. Look at the mess they left us in. That's why the people voted them out.
That's
and you
right.
know what? These guys have not turned around to apologize to the people.
No.
And all they are doing is prancing, dancing.
No.
They're cabot,
Yes.
dancing.
They're dancing.
No mask.
Jack don't want me to bathe on my beach and all kinds of nonsense.
After that, they dressed up in red, went to Fiji, dancing and
Yes.
prancing down
Yes.
the road.
Yes.
And that one woman on television, Chastanet a white man, we don't want white man.
Yeah.
You're a black person. What is it about the white man you're afraid of?
That same white man in my man has saved a lot of lives because it only takes someone with vision to realize that after we had moved into OKU to transform the Victoria. Let me say something.
But hold on, before that, they had what everybody thought was Labour Party's white man. But what did Labour's white man do for them? They couldn't open St. Jude. They didn't finish St. Jude. They couldn't open the OKEU. And as I said, the most hurtful part, Champagne, for me, was the kind of bluff, the kind of bluff, pretending to be opening it, have a big plaque, name, drinks being shared, taxpayers' dollars paying for drinks.
Pull it. No, pull. No, you lost.
Someone I'm saying?
Brother Peter,
what kind of cocoa macaquerie is that?
we need to look at this thing and deal with this thing seriously. And it only came to me now that we are realizing the OKU was named, had a naming ceremony, monies were spent, I'm hearing in the amounts of over $100,000 for a naming ceremony. But the hospital was kept closed. Had this government not opened up the OKU in St. Lucia, I would like for you to pay attention to this. Had the Alan Chastanet administration not opened up OKU in time, because no one saw the coronavirus, no one saw it coming. 1 year later, we were hit with the coronavirus. The Victoria Hospital was transformed into this respiratory hospital, and today, this is where our corona patients are kept as a respiratory hospital. This is visionary.
Yeah, but vision, Champagne, is one of the qualities that I think the majority of people agreed of a true leader.
Exactly.
Vision.
Exactly.
The second one, and probably just as important, is courage. People can choose the words they prefer to use in terms of good leadership. But if you are a leader, a true leader, it can be in business, politics, wherever you are leading, you have to have a vision. The second thing is to have courage to get your vision executed, because life does not always move in a straight line. And even when it tends to go in a straight line, there may be obstacles along that straight line. So you have to have the courage to know what to do and to have the honesty to tell your troops, the people who are with you, your people, you know, what is it that is troubling the construction of St. Jude? What is it that is troubling you on our airport? Why you can't finish? Why the roads are in that way? You have to have the courage to speak honestly to your people, Champagne.
And listen
It's
to me.
important to do that.
And I'm not just...
Unfortunately, we didn't get that in the last government.
No, we did not.
We did not.
No, we did not.
Thank you.
And I'm not bashing the SLP, stating that, oh, Champagne, you're not a co-variant or whatever. They could not open up that hospital. And you just indicated to Michael that the air conditioning was not in, the cafeteria was not in, and there were various other...
the laundry.
The laundry was not in.
So how could they open?
How could have you opened that hospital?
But I'm telling you, even when the government opened that OKEU, they had to call in and get the air conditioning reorganized because
They had
it
lost
wasn't
the-
working. The factory that presented, that made the thing, were out of business.
Oh, boy.
So, you know, there was a lot of work to be done. It wasn't easy.
And you
but
can't
it had to be
operate
done.
it without
But
air
it was
conditioning.
done.
The St. Lucian people, St. Lucia, we need to applaud the Prime Minister. No one saw the coronavirus coming. So we need to applaud the Prime Minister for having OKU completed and for transforming VH, Victoria Hospital, with the Cubans. We need to give them the bell, the Cubans, for transforming this place into a respiratory hospital.
And you know what happened? They have focused so much on the Prime Minister. The other day they showed a clip of the Prime Minister down in Chastanet. I wasn't sure where he was. I thought it was in Deriso. Meeting with young people and things, so making sure they're wearing their mask. And generally surveying, he's the Prime Minister, and he's wearing his own mask. People who went to Kazamba, who went to VG and marched to Castries market steps and dancing and prancing, half of them without masks, they are now pointing out the Prime Minister, oh, but he's in Choiseul, he's campaigning.
Yeah.
So, leave the campaigning for you, right?
But the
And the Prime
was
Minister has not
campaigning.
started campaigning yet.
The Prime Minister was
When he starts campaigning, they will be surprised to see how many people will be there with him.
The Prime Minister was not campaigning. He said it here 2 Mondays ago, sorry. He said his number one priority is to get this coronavirus under control. The elections will come. These were his words.
Yeah.
He's
But
not
little
interested about
did they
election
know
at this time.
that while the Prime Minister was there on the Sunday, he was still working. Because
Yes.
look at what happened yesterday. Because Philip Pierre said that instead of being down there, he should have been on the air discussing more protocols.
Philippe said,
Yeah, he said so. He said so. Now, what I'm trying to say, while he was down there, he was killing two birds with one
That's
stone
right.
because he was negotiating with international organizations so he could tell the people what day that the vaccine was going to come.
So, Michael,
That's what he was doing.
You have heard me say it here on numerous occasions. When it comes to the coronavirus, not a single member of the SLP should say a word. Don't say anything. Because from the initial stages, March of 2020, you guys, they were not on board. And they criticized, they had 3 marches and everything else. And I will continue to say the surge of the corona cases in St. Lucia was because of the SLP's march.
And you know something?
But Norbert
I will
showed
never
last
stop
night.
saying it.
Norbert showed it last night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, let's move on with the vaccine.
So let me just say
Yes, go
something
ahead.
quickly.
Yes.
If anybody in the Labour Party knows that, it should be Philippe Pierre. That if you have a good phone, iPhone, any good phone, handphone, you can work from anywhere. The Prime Minister could be in Choiseul with his phone, be in contact with his counterpart in India.
Sure.
You don't have to be at a desk these days to think. As a matter of fact, the PM also mentioned last night, and I was so happy to hear him say that, because of what the coronavirus has done, people now, the big companies in the United States and elsewhere, can have St. Lucians employed working in St. Lucia, but getting paid in America by these companies. You understand what I'm saying?
And you're right with the iPhones, because look at the opposition leader last night. He used a phone to bring his message out. So, we didn't see him, but we heard what he had to say. I didn't understand
I
too
may
much,
not be an expert on the technology,
Yes.
but I know sufficient to tell you that once you have that phone, you see these new phones, they are more powerful than what the first set of scientists used to send the first rocket into space,
Yeah. Listen to me. I have made it clear here on my program that I will not talk about the SLP when it comes to the coronavirus.
Yeah.
If they wanted people to talk about them from inception, they would have been on board.
Okay.
They were never on board. And on top of it, they
And they
walked
said
out.
it did not exist.
They
They
said
even
that.
told their supporters
That is right.
and think that there's no coronavirus.
And Norbert showed it last night, the clip, when they walked out of the house.
Yeah.
They walked out all because they had orchestrated their match.
Correct, they had a plan.
They had plans with their match. So I'm not going to, the SLP have no business talking anything about coronavirus. We will
But
move on to
doesn't have no shame, man.
No. These guys. Well, let's move on to the vaccine. And I sat there listening to the Prime Minister last night, and I had no indication that we were going to be getting the vaccine as early as 2 weeks' time. I applauded. You're not going to believe me, but I sat there and I was applauding like crazy.
I suspect Sir Michael didn't know either.
Oh my goodness, none of us knew.
Yeah.
None of us knew. And when I heard the time that he said in the middle of February, that is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Who goes out there and be able to have some form of a relationship with the international world? And that's what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
This man has that presence that he could have things done internationally.
Champagne.
You know, let me. There's so many countries of this world that are crying and begging to get vaccinated, to have the vaccines in their country so that people could be vaccinated. And here we are in February, 2 or 3 months later after the first vaccine came on the scene, and we will be getting, we need to ring the bell on that for the Prime Minister.
Let me say something to you. I have been to the United Nations. I have addressed the United Nations General Assembly on behalf of St. Lucia. After a session, Champagne, you are invited. As small as St. Lucia is, they like your speech, the people are impressed. You're invited to something like 15 cocktail parties from the biggest countries to the smallest.
Yes.
And you have to make the round, spend 5 minutes or 6 minutes in each place.
Yes.
You cannot drink everywhere.
No.
In fact, you hold a glass of water pretending to be having it. But you look, Champagne, and assess what is going on. You look at the people, the leaders, you look at those who are supporting them, and you could see the presence, the height. You know, I remember, I don't remember his name now, the leader of Kenya in those days. The man had 3 watches. It was not style he was cutting. 2 on his left, 1 on his right. Okay? So one, of course, is his country. The other one, local time. And the third one, I wasn't sure what it is, whether it's one to medication or whatever. That will alarm at a certain time. Now, you can't see and know these things if you don't observe these people. So you go and you observe. St. Lucia is a little 2x4 place. You have already spoken. People have congratulated you 2 hours ago. They'll remember you. Will say, well done, son, well done, right? But the important point is that you have an opportunity to learn and see and listen. And this is a blessing, Champagne. I never knew that would happen to me one day in my life. So that is why sometimes I have to stay back and say, boy, words are very important. And you cannot let people take your words and twist them. Yeah.
You know, the vaccine that I saw something like a Street Vibes, where one of our media houses were down in VA4, and they were interviewing people, asking them about them taking the vaccine. And it appears to be like a 90% not in favor to a 10% in favor. And I could not understand the difference between our people in the Caribbean and people in a more civilized country, if I should put it that way, because every day when I get up, I watch the news, and I see people are in online miles to try to get a vaccine. That's in the United States. And here we are in St. Lucia, our people are saying they're not going to take the vaccine because they want to kill us, 666, and all these kinds of... How would you address that, Sir Michael? Because I remember as a child, the polio vaccine...
They were talking the same nonsense in America, questioning. They said actually 35 to 40% Americans said they were not You know something? They're all taking it now. When the reality comes and they see the amount of people, how quickly that virus is spreading.
And people
I
are
tell
dying.
you something.
People they know are dying.
Are dying, okay? You already have 16 deaths. You see how fast you'll take it.
I will guarantee you that a few minutes ago you said that the people there at the respiratory hospital are asking the doctor, will I die? Can you help me?
Yeah.
I am guaranteeing you that every single one of them up there would love to have the vaccine today.
Correct.
Today.
And you
Very
know
true.
something, Champagne, if they only were to rethink for a moment, right, when they were warned, be careful, by just being a little cautious,
Yes.
taking a little less alcohol, doing less foolishness, they wouldn't be in the mess they
No,
are
they would
today.
not. They would not.
Yeah.
So while we have people saying, oh, they want to kill us and to use 666, they want to track my whereabouts, you are not in the situation yet. That is why you're talking this nonsense. Because I am going to be online when that vaccine is made available.
So am
I
I.
will be taking that vaccine.
But you see, an Obia man will believe that, A guy who already believes in Obia will believe in all this nonsense.
Anyway, you saw those. You show us these projects that have been undertaken down there in the south, and I know you were down there. And all of St. Lucia is happy to see what is happening, even if you have the negativity from the SLP saying that money should be taken for those projects and be given to people.
Champagne, you basically from the south, because you
Yeah.
spent a lot of time.
I work down there, yes.
When I went down to this Grace plant, I had never been there before, never. And I saw the level of work going on, the quality of work, okay? I mean, the professionalism, and more importantly, taking water from 1.5 million gallons a day to 5 million gallons a day.
Wow.
You know what? And that was, they were hanging around with that project for years. Again, the Labour Party spoke about it, but were never able to bring it to fruition.
But you know who spoke about this project? The first Sir John Compton,
Yeah.
in the same Woodlawn area, way back then.
Okay.
He wanted to have
There you
that
go.
for the project undertaken.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't happen under his watch.
And another thing someone brought to my attention, and I think John Compton actually had suggested that, but the current Prime Minister is moving forward, that the traffic jams in Beaufort is so bad now that people are clamoring for that road to go in from by where Cass had that
Sandy Beach.
Sandy Beach, from there to bring it
Parallel
right
to the
to the
airport.
bus stand.
Parallel to
So
the
along
airport.
the fence, so you will not have to go through that roundabout anymore.
Right.
Yeah, because it is incredible when you go to that roundabout in front of the JK
Yes,
Mall
yes,
down
yes.
there. It's
Yeah, it's always congested
7 days a week.
Yeah, it's
Before it
always
used to be at
congested.
weekends. You know.
Yeah. Now they have managed to
Yeah.
have
I
a
have a
one-way.
friend staying at Savans, and he told me this Friday and Saturday he went to Beaufort to go to. He had to go back home. He said the lines at the supermarket, the lines at the credit unions, the lines at the banks were so long. Okay, that's what Beaufort is today. Okay,
And they haven't even started the terminal for the...
in a big way.
Even in the midst of
Both
the
sea
virus.
and the sea terminal has not started for the cruise ships,
Yeah.
and the airport terminal has not gotten off the ground
But, you
properly.
see,
yet.
but Peter, you have to look at that. First of all, you have over 200 people working at St. Jude's. Okay, right now you have at least 70 people working on the new headquarters. Then you have another lot working at Grace. Okay, then there's quite a bit of development going on, including Brian there and Bryson Company. They're putting up housing in the Miku area. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of work going on in the south. And I was talking to Brian Dyer, and he told me either next week or week after, you know, he bought the 7 acres of land right
Yes,
by
right there.
Coconut Bay.
Yes, I saw
and he's
that.
putting down 22 townhouses and a small shopping center.
Yes,
Yeah.
I heard that.
So, you know, all
So,
these...
so where would we be if the Prime Minister, who is a visionary individual, and I could say that very clearly, take the money according to the SLP, borrow the money for the airport. That money has already been borrowed. So take it, forget about that loan because you have to pay back that loan, and give it to the people because of the corona. So corona last year, and let's say it goes away at the end of this year, so you're talking about almost a year and a half. We have to now go to borrow another set of money now because the money you gave away is all finished. No achievements. because the money was given
But
away.
they're just proving to you they can't manage. That
Thank
is
you.
why
That
they
is
left
where
the
I'm going with
country in
this.
such a mess. That is
Okay.
why they left it in such a mess, Champagne. They cannot manage.
Can you believe? No construction of any new roads. Take the money, give it away to people, so everybody is on a merit that this one going to do their nails, that one do their hair, someone buy an old vehicle, and the money is gone. But the country now still has to pay that loan.
And the real poor people are poorer because the middle income people have nothing to give them.
The country still has to pay the loan because this is not money that we got free. This was not a grant. This is a loan from the Bank of Taiwan along with other banks.
Correct.
So we have to pay that loan while people have squandered that money with hail and hair doings and all kinds of stuff.
And we can only pay it.
And we don't have an airport.
And only way you can pay it is with the project, when it's finished,
That is right.
has the revenue to pay it back.
To pay that.
And
You know-
Champagne, the worst part, Sir Michael, is they are still talking about giving the airport construction to a private individual.
Can you believe this?
I would have thought 40 years ago, that is how I would think. Right? My political thinking at the time was, that is something that the UWP under John Compton would do. Give a private person from England, America, Canada, wherever, France, okay? And after 30 years, these people pocket half the money and gone. Today, it is the Labour Party that is doing that. The Labour Party, the progressive party that I used to know, was more socialist inclined, more inclined to progressive thinking. They are the ones saying to give the airport to a foreigner. And Alan Chastanet, Prime Minister Alan Chastanet, who is supposed to be conservative in the mold of Sir John Compton, is saying, no, we will get the money borrowed, we can do that airport, and in 15 years' time, we can pay back that money.
But there was
Can you believe
50
that?
million.
This is how Labour was thinking 40 years ago. Today, it is Alan Shasta and the UWP thinking that way.
There
This
was
is interesting.
$50 million already collected on the head tax
What became of that?
with the previous UWP government from 2011,
What
from
became of that?
2006 to 11.
What became of that money?
Nobody knows where's that $50 million today. And then he made a promise to his supporters that the UWP government is collecting those money on the false pretenses because there was not a block laid out. Yes, we understood that. But 50 million was collected. That money disappeared. But listen to what he's saying on the false pretenses. He said that we are going to collect 10% for the desilting of the Sir John Compton Dam, and they raised the water by 66%. Not one spoon of silt was taken off.
And you know what, Champagne?
Can you believe it?
All of their supporters, all of the people who were swinging like rats and mice, okay, stayed quiet.
Everyone.
Nobody said a thing. They're collecting money. They already put the money on the water, a tax on
Yeah.
the water,
Yeah,
to
for years.
desil the dam. Nobody said anything. Even people from Vieux Fort, who do not get water from the dam, were charged. Everybody stayed quiet. Shh. Paddy Kenny was like a bondier. He got 16-1. Okay? So everybody stayed quiet. What has happened to us today? These guys have no shame. And again, I like when Norbert shows it. Every time Norbert is there, he should show it, explaining why they can't borrow.
Couldn't borrow because he doesn't have
But
any.
also, we should not only look at the 50 million. They stopped the collection of the money and lost $250 million. And who you think took the money? The airlines.
My goodness.
The airlines just said, oh, thank you very much. You don't want it? I'll take it. And they talk of people being vindictive. Vindictive to their own country, right? And you mean to tell me people like Philip Pierre, all of them in cabinet, could have said, look, Prime Minister, you know, what you're doing is not right. Right? And stop it. But nobody dare open their mouths.
You know, Brother Peter, I want to blame you and your colleagues at the time during the 79 era when you governed St. Lucia. I don't think you and your colleagues taught Kenny Anthony anything because he was part of the camp.
Yeah, but
He came back. No, because I don't believe so you could teach me something and
Champagne, that is why God blessed me. When he came, I actually contested against him in Vieux Fort in 97.
Yeah, but in 79, you all made provisions for him being a minister of education, but apparently he didn't learn anything.
But the worst part of it is George and I went to actually invite him at his home. George is a guy, George Odlum, always felt that if a guy is academic, that makes it. I used to give way to George because George was older than me. George actually taught me in Form 2 at St. Mary's College, so I had special respect for George. But I have always tried to look beyond a man's, money, his degrees and things. So I try to look beyond that and try to understand his character, his behavior, what he would do. And when I went, I had to canvass Alan Luisi, Prime Minister Luisi, because George feel that Oxford born is a big boy, he can't go and beg on behalf of Kenny. I had to go and do the begging. And Alan agreed, although Alan was suspicious that what we were trying to do was to get progressive, quote-unquote, people so that we can overthrow him in the Labour Party. That certainly was the last thing on my mind. But when Dr. Anthony joined, made him a senator, we actually had to amend the Constitution, because I think we were able to do it. He was below the age that was required to be a senator. And I said to George, boy, Compton passed a law once for Olio Jabatis and George Charles to get some kind of money, monthly thing, And I said one of the things that I've never felt comfortable with is passing laws for individuals. Laws should be general. And over years, over the period of my life, I've come to believe that sometimes people can have special cases where you can make an amendment, especially somebody who have served in a senior capacity or in Parliament, right? But when Anthony left the second time, when there was a little problem, leadership and things, I said, boy, everything I thought about this guy has come to pass. I have no hatred. I've put all this animosity on the side. I look at this guy and I look at him as a fake. And I'll tell you something. I say sometimes that he's not going to come back. But people like that, he's just like Trump, exactly like Trump. If this guy can find a little opening to come back, guess what? The only guy who might fight him might be Pip and maybe the guy from Labrie.
Well, listen to this. Well,
you heard what I just told you?
I heard you. And you could quiz us on that because the former Prime Minister, Kenny Anthony, we don't know of his leadership skills as a young man. Okay, to clarify my point, me growing up in Marchand, I was part of a football team, a club called Adidas Strikers. I was the manager of that club. Okay, I've been involved with other little areas in my community in a leadership area, in a leadership aspect. When Kenny Anthony came back into St. Lucia from Guyana or wherever he was, and the Labour Party brought him in as the political leader, all of St. Lucia embraced him. But we never knew of his leadership skills.
We didn't know anything about
We didn't know if this man had headed some committee, if he was the head of a group, if he was the captain of a football team. We knew nothing. But we embraced him, and we gave him the 16-1 majority. But throughout the years, we saw nothing.
And you know what was worse, Champagne? They voted for Julian Hunt as leader of the party in '92. I think it was, or later, in Labrie. But the people that supported Julian Hunt, some of them did that because they thought it would be easier to remove Julian Hunt. Because that time I was fighting the leadership for the leadership of the Labour Party as well. You understand? So they literally wanted him, and they kicked Julian Hunt out. The same guy, all of them were supporting.
Yeah, but Brother Peter,
so that was a manger cochon, and no good could come out of it, Champagne. No good.
What I'm saying is, St. Lucians have never questioned the leadership of Kenny Anthony, even before he came in as Prime Minister, and even now after being the Prime Minister.
They didn't question his credentials. All they saw was
they just saw a guy
PhD in law.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Everyone saw a PhD, a guy coming in, a young guy, probably, and he was part of the Labour Party before. No one questioned, well, what were your credentials in leadership in this, in that? No one questioned
it. And I'm tempted to say what I said the last time, and people were trying to question me as if I'm racist or anything. A lot of them looked at him and just took a look at him.
Because of the complexion.
You say it.
I'm saying it.
Kenny Anthony had the credentials to run the country. What Kenny Anthony lacked, I'm saying that clearly, without being hypocritical anyway, he never had the basic business background to run the country. And that is the problem, you know? And that is the problem, yeah. And
Well.
that is the problem, you know?
All right, and so it is 11:15, and we now turn on the phone line if you'd like to call into the program to ask a question or concern or your opinions on anything that goes on in St. Lucia.
That phone really rings.
4560931. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you, sir.
I have been listening very carefully, very attentively to your discourse on the leadership of the former Prime Minister,
Yeah.
Kenny Anthony. It's interesting that you use the word leadership.
Mm-hmm.
This man was never a leader.
He was never, huh?
Never a leader.
Do you know him personally, caller, from way back?
Oh, sure.
And do you know of him being the captain of a football team or club or anything else in that regard?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
All I know is that he tried to bowl leg spin.
He tried to bowl leg spin?
Yes.
You try to do
And
a
he probably
Ramadan.
tried those skills in politics also.
Okay.
But on a more serious note, gentlemen, I listened to the speakers last night, and from all of them, I can see that there was something which caused me to think or to ponder on, with one exception, and that was from the leader of the opposition. I found the leader of the opposition comments to be
Baseless.
of no substance. Simply going around and saying the same things that he has been saying all the time. On the issue of the vaccine, I thought the leader of the opposition would have made a comment like he's hoping that the vaccines would arrive at the time that we're expecting them, and that they would be administered, as quickly as possible, knowing very well that a plan has been set up, stating what categories of persons would be considered first and second, and so on and so on. But Mr. Pierre chose to bring in the same idea of victimization as to, he's hoping that, there will not be favoritism.
Yes.
Every time Philip and Kenny Anthony talk about victimization, I have nausea, because the Labour Party exemplifies the word victimization.
Yeah, they take it up a notch. Were you surprised, Kuala?
That has been going on for a long time.
Were you surprised at his statement, or you were expecting something different?
Well, I was hoping, you're watching a football game, Champagne. I know you like football.
Yes, oh yes.
And you have a favorite player, and you are hoping the man would score a goal one day.
That's true.
You keep hoping and hoping because you like that little fella.
Yeah.
But he's not just scoring. He's just not scoring. So that's my thing with Philip. I'm just hoping that one day he will lift himself, to a level where one would begin to see him as a possible leader.
Caller, the vaccine that the Prime Minister is able to have on island in the next 2 weeks surprised everyone, and it did surprise the opposition leader as well. This is why I believe that he did not comment about it. And you're very right. As a country and an opposition leader, you should have come in and said, you know what, boy, it is so much of a good news for all of St. Lucia today that we are going to be having the vaccine in such short space of time.
Yes.
I was expecting him to say that, but then again, they let the Labour Party.
He brought in this victimization thing.
Yes.
Champagne, I can't list examples of victimization on the radio. I'll be taking too much of
I
the
understand.
radio time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But I know that I'm not the only one. who can just give example after example after example
Yeah.
of victimization. Philippia was there when the resolution was passed in Babuno.
Mm-hmm.
You know, give credit to Francois, who warned them that this was not a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenny Anthony was there, and they all ignored Francois. You know.
So, caller, were you expecting Philippe Pierre, the opposition leader, last night, to come out and say to the Prime Minister, congratulate him in some form, to say, you know what, Mr. Prime Minister, we are happy that we are going to be having our vaccine in St. Lucia?
But this is what statesmen do.
Well,
The fact that you congratulate the man doesn't mean that you're telling your supporters to vote for him.
well, he was not congratulated.
Statesmen do.
He was not congratulated in winning the election, so I don't think he would be congratulated in getting those vaccines here.
I mean, Champagne, to do the things that are necessary to combat the vaccine does not necessarily mean that you have to jump from SLP to UWB. You can continue supporting your SLP, but this is an issue of health that we're talking about.
Shows you the character of the people, caller.
Coronavirus is not HIV to say, well, you have greater control as to whether you catch HIV or not.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't have that amount of latitude.
No, you don't.
In terms of prevention.
That's right. All right.
You know?
Something
Okay.
else, caller?
Okay, gentlemen, I don't want to take too much.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one. And Brother Peter, you think were you surprised with the response by the opposition leader last night, or his statement?
No, I was not. I would have been very pleased if he had said, you know what, I have given the Prime Minister a lot of blows, I criticize him a lot. If I was in his place, that is what I would try to do. So I have to congratulate him because I believe he's doing what is right for the people of St. Lucia.
Yeah.
If he had done that today,
Yes.
he would have been the talk of the town. He would have removed all the praises the Prime Minister might be getting if he tried to share with the Prime Minister the early arrival of the vaccine in St. Lucia.
Yes.
But you know, boy, when
This
you
is the
narrow,
character of
and
the guy.
I believe the problem is not Philippe, you know, and I'm tired of making excuses for him. I'll stop after today.
Yeah.
I think the problem is the culture of labor.
That's what it is.
The thing is inside the Labour Party like a disease, man, Champagne.
Thanks for holding, caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Champagne.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, guest.
Hi, good morning.
Champagne, earlier you stated that you were not going to bash the SLP. Well, that is on you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Gentlemen, it has become obvious that the SLP and their operatives, and I know that they're listening, they have embarked on a campaign of character assassination and gross misinformation. I mean, now they're even trying to get us all dragged into the whole aristocracy of the skin thing.
Yes, uh-huh.
You know, they are leaving no stone unturned and they take no prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
When is the UWP going to get the machinery into action and expose all the embezzlement that occurred during the SLP's term in office?
Caller, I want to ring the bell on that for you. And the information is there.
It is high time that we expose them as the den of thieves that they really are.
Mm-hmm. Hello? Well, the caller is asking for the exposure of the atrocities, if you will, by the SLP.
Well, you know, I'll tell you how I look at it. Recently, when Mr. Okay.
Beautiful morning to you. Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Is that Champagne?
Yes, that's that. You're live on radio, sir.
Okay, my brother. Congratulations from Philip GPA. Congratulations to all those who have lost their lives.
Congratulations from him.
He said last night, congratulations to all those who have lost their lives.
No, I don't know, caller. I was watching the program and he said he was sympathizing with the families.
The man that want to be prime minister.
Well, he didn't say congratulations. He said he was sympathizing with them, to be in all fairness. Yes.
I think he misspoke a little.
No, but he
caller.
didn't say
He
congratulations.
didn't say congratulations. He probably said
Condolences.
Condolences, that's what he said.
but he
Yes.
said condolences to those who died. But the
those who
condolences
are
should
not
be to the
alive.
family of those who died. But he
Oh,
misspoke.
that was just a mistake.
That can happen. That can happen. Don't give him any blows.
So,
for that.
caller, before you go, where are you on the? Are you going to congratulate the Prime Minister for us having the vaccine in 2 weeks' time, very early ahead of time?
Oh, definitely, my brother.
Yes.
That's very good. That's Chicago, man.
Oh, Chicago, how you doing, my friend?
No, go.
I didn't recognize
Peter,
the
how
voice.
you doing?
Yes.
I'm fine. I'm good. And what about you?
You might not remember, that's a Serie from Chile, man. Gone are the days.
Silly, don't do me that, man. I remember Syria. How many of us used to be there, guys? So up to now, I don't think there are a lot of people coming from
You
Syria.
remember Mautina, I was opposite Mautina, and you was higher up.
Yeah.
You're on Brother Peter Josie. I will have to arrange a special occasion for the two of
I tell Champagne, as soon as the virus gives us a
Okay.
little chance, maybe towards the end of February when we start getting our injections,
Yeah.
I must come down there because I also want to see some of my old friends, but I also want to see the work the Prime Minister has done in that constituency, man. I mean, so many good things about him.
Oh yes. You better come.
Whether people were not expecting roads, they were expecting trucks and just a little throwing dirt and think, man, I hear you all fellas have some roads, man. You're all making other people jealous.
You know the road the Prime Minister built and that was built and he went to visit, and where they showed you he was playing with that little dog.
Yeah.
That's by my mother's house.
Okay.
In a house higher up, right? That's where.
Yeah.
It was a new road that was built, and you
Yeah.
went to see the road.
You remember where Jacob
All right,
used to live, right?
I'm Brother Chicago.
Pardon?
You remember where Jacob used to live? Jacob?
Yes, ditch.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that area there I want to see. It's a little while I haven't been there.
All right, my brother. Well, have a great day, my friend.
Yes, my brother.
And thanks for calling.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you. Have a
beautiful.
good
You
day.
were asking me a
Yeah.
question before he called.
I was asking you, let's take a call again. Special good morning to you. Hello.
Morning, Champagne.
Good morning to you, sir.
Morning, and good morning to your guest, Mr. Josie, and to Michael Chastanet.
How much time do you need?
That sounds like no, but is
How
it?
much time do you need, Mr.
That is
Williams?
not too much time. Not
Okay,
too much
thank you
time.
very much. Yes.
Not too much time. Why, you
Okay.
wanted to go out and come back?
No. Go ahead, sir.
Well, let me tell you, I was just reading a message that somebody sent to me that was forwarded. And I did mention it earlier, but I want to reiterate it because I think it's very important that the people of St. Lucia be made aware, because it's so easy, and it has been very easy, to forget what has happened. And what the person was saying in that note was that midway through the Prime Minister's address last night, they began to become aware of so many things, as he began mentioning them, that had been done by the government, by the CMO, by the Prime Minister in this fight against COVID, that they had forgotten over time all that the government has done. And in listening what the Prime Minister said last night, in getting the PPEs, in getting the engines for the marine boats, in doing so many things for the people of St. Lucia, getting the Cuban doctors and nurses down here, all of these things, getting the quarantine facilities, Starfish Hotel, getting the meals when the country was locked down, putting together the care packages for thousands of people around St. Lucia. So many things that this government has done.
Transportation
That the opposition-
transportation from the airport to the hotels.
That is right. And especially getting St. Lucia ready to come back from being locked down, to come back from the borders being closed by recertifying or certifying the taxis. Remember how much noise they made about that. The Malay way, you have to go and certify again. Not telling the people the truth, that the certification for all of those properties, for the businesses, for the supermarkets, for the small stores, for the barbers, for the tea boutiques, all of that was to make sure that coming out of the lockdown that St. Lucia and St. Lucians would have been prepared protocol-wise to minimize the spread. Because when you go to the supermarket now, everybody takes it for granted that you get your hands sprayed, with some alcohol or whatever it is.
It's mandatory.
Some hand sanitizer. that you have to wear your mask, that you have to social distance, that only a certain number of people are allowed in at a time. These things did not happen accidentally. This is what the government sat down and decided were the appropriate things to do with all the people, the professionals in the Ministry of Health. And now looking back, we can see that what the government was doing was a deliberate strategy to protect the people of St. Lucia. And I think if you missed it, or even if you listen, and as usual, people don't pay attention to details, they just figure, well, we have a state of emergency. Listen to it again, and you will hear all the measures that this government has been putting in place from the get-go. But you know what, Champagne? It has been a concerted and deliberate attempt by the SLP opposition to veglate the people of St. Lucia so they don't pay attention, raise up all the row, all the personal attacks, all the back and forth, all the saying one thing now and saying stuff to confuse people that they will not notice what the government is doing, the individual acts.
And more than that, no, but more than that, those people that have fallen sick, they did that because they didn't listen. In fact, they were listening to the voice of the opposition. That is my honest opinion, because in the beginning, you remember they were telling people, got up on coronavirus. There's no such thing. Even today, there's some people who are saying this nonsense, right? And this we have to put down at the hands and feet of the St. Lucia Labour Party opposition. All of the people that are sick today is as a result of the disinformation and the lies fed to them by the Labour Party. That is what it is.
But you know, one of the things that has been used to whip all of this antagonism and to distract people more than ever is this racism thing that has been pushed subliminally, covertly, and otherwise by the opposition and its hackalacks about the Prime Minister's skin color and all of that, and all the talk about subversion in St. Lucia in all types of fancy ways. But we all live in St. Lucia, and we know what the underlying tone is, and we know what the intentions have been from the get-go from these people.
Caller, let me ask you.
They can jump high and jump low and try to say and deflect and put it on other people. We all know where this is coming from.
Let me ask you, caller, and we all heard the statement by the opposition leader. Were you surprised that you did not hear the opposition leader at least congratulating the Prime Minister to have us with the vaccine in a couple weeks?
Let me tell you something, Champagne. I am surprised, but I'm not surprised. I am disappointed because on every occasion that the opposition or the leader of the opposition has to rise above the nonsense, to be magnanimous, to be professional, to be patriots, they have always taken the opportunity to give a joke to the administration, to give a joke to Chastanet, to give a joke to the sensibilities of people by always injecting some snide comment, some insinuation of politicking. And if they had, who was it was saying so a while ago, that if he had risen to the occasion and been a little more statesmanlike or statesmanly, people would have had more respect for him. They would have said, you know what, even in this time of national crisis, he could put things, the politics aside, and join hands with the government. That doesn't take anything away from you. But they cannot. It is in their nature, it's in their DNA. They just, all how they have to get a little joke. Even if you're doing something good, they tell you, the vaccines are coming. Well, I hope everybody gets the vaccine properly and they don't discriminate. Well, I hope this, instilling some type of doubt when there is nothing to substantiate that, but they have to create some type of doubt, put some type of twist on it.
But caller,
that's the sad part of the SL.
Caller, you know something? That only comes and mainly comes from people who are themselves insecure. You know that?
Yeah.
That comes from people who are insecure. And the only way people who are insecure know how to communicate is to beat down on others, those who are positive, and try to reduce them to their own level of insecurity.
Absolutely.
That's all that's
You
going
should-
on there.
Absolutely.
We
You
have
should
to
take up a
explain
job.
this to our people because it happens even within families. Okay?
Absolutely. Yes. You should take up a job in the psychology field.
Yeah.
Well, I read a lot about the mind because I think everything that happens to us in life happens in our minds first.
That's
Yes.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
Thank
right,
you very
caller.
much, gentlemen.
All right, thanks
I
a
will
lot.
tie up your line.
Thanks a lot. Have a
Okay.
good one. So, Michael, if you talk about, and they continue to talk about putting people first, the world has hit severely with the pandemic, including St. Lucia. People have died. Why would you not at least say thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for getting us this vaccine ahead of time? At least.
Peter Josie explained that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in their DNA.
The
My
insecurities
goodness,
in the
yeah.
DNA, yeah.
Thanks for holding, caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chastanet. Good morning, Mr. Josie.
Good morning,
Morning,
sir.
morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Shambe.
Good morning, my friend.
Shambe, when was that medical ship here?
Say it again.
That medical ship, when was it there? Year before last?
I think it was early, it was a little late in 2019.
I remember so many things was said when that medical ship came here, where people say they would not visit, they would not do this,
That's
they would
right.
not do that.
Yes, yes.
And
A lot
there
of
are
talk.
people, when that thing started, actually sleeping there to see the doctors the following day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it brought about a lot of
So
chaos,
don't
too.
mind all those you saying they will not go for the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
If you yourself late, you might not even get a shot.
I could tell you that, my friend. I could tell you that.
Caller, you're
And
so
you're
right.
very
I
right.
forgot that ship. You know, you're so
Yes.
people were waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I
man,
went
and,
there myself.
and they line before you, right?
That's right.
I went
And
there
remember
myself.
what they said? That would kill them.
Yes.
That's right.
But those who went said, boy, they never had better treatment, eh?
Beautiful treatment.
Okay then.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks for reminding us, call on that.
Yeah, that was a
I mean,
good call.
you talk about the theme in this election
Putting
is putting
people
people first.
first.
That is their theme.
But nobody asked them what they mean by that.
But here we are in the midst of a pandemic. No one would congratulate
And
the
they put in
Prime
carbot first.
Minister. Yes, yes.
Cardboard first.
Special good morning to you. Hello.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Champagne. Good morning, elderly statesmen.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, my
So,
friend.
Michael and Sophia Josie,
Yes, sir.
I hope you're all in line to get the first 2 shots, okay? I have to keep you on the line.
The frontline workers, my brother, would get
I
it
need
first.
you and Sir Michael
Let the
to get
nurses and doctors and
shot.
the
I'm
nurses,
serious. I'm very serious about that.
the nurses and doctors and frontline workers. We'll wait
But
until.
our country is starving for knowledge, starving for wisdom.
Yeah, but we
You
need
guys
we
are
need the
pretty
frontline
good.
workers first, caller. Okay. I mean, I know you're only joking, but I'm just
I'm not
telling you.
joking there. I'm serious on this line. I want you to get the first shot. Okay? I need to keep you on the line.
Trust me, we'll try to get it as soon as we can, but I think we should get the frontline workers a chance, and the
Let me
police,
just
fire,
correct you. Let
fire
me just say a
people.
couple of things to you, Sophia Josie. You were talking about the former president of Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta.
That's the guy. Yes, yes, Jomo.
Now, in Barbados, dealing with crime, when you give in trouble and the police, they think that you're playing tough, they send for the men with the coveralls. The men with the coverall. When the men come, leave tongue. Just
Yeah.
leave tongue. Get around it. They ain't playing because they ain't taking no prisoners.
Exactly.
Okay? In Bermuda, when you're caught, if you're caught with any blade, over 3 inches or more, automatic 3 years and I think $5,000 US. 3 years in prison and $5,000 US.
Wow.
That's the status. No lawyer can save you.
Yeah.
No lawyer. So if you have a knife, 3 inches, you have to give a good reason. You do landscaping, what are you doing at night? 3 inches? No. You go up the river, big dog. You go up the river. But you better believe it. Now, let me go a little further about that great man. And so, my God, thank you for your son. Thank you for the greatest leader in the world, for Alan Michael Chastanet, the visionary. So, Peter, you
Yes.
said because some men, when they walk in the room, you feel a presence. You're very, very right. You're very, very right. I have come across that with guys like Brian Lara
Yeah.
and so Alan Michael Chastanet.
Okay.
Okay? I have been in the presence of Sir Alan Michael Chastanet when everybody at this conference in Bermuda, over 300 of them. Good morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good morning, sir. White, black, green, yellow. I say, and I hear the walk up. The man got me sitting there with me. You know what I'm saying? Every day, the man want me to go. The man want me to go everywhere. He said, sit with him. I say, hey, the man, listen. The man has a common touch. The common touch, man. That's why he can be all there with. They can't handle that.
Yeah.
He's born with that.
And there's also a spiritual kind of quality to these guys, a kind of aura, you know. I have been in the presence of people, and you feel it as soon as they enter where you are.
Let me tell you something, man.
Yeah.
It's not easy to be like, not anybody can be an assassin, you know, man.
No. This is very rare. These qualities are rare.
That's what I'm talking about. The man can walk with presidents, queens, kings, and still walk with the war rats.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. He could change
That
gears.
is right.
Brian Harris can do the same thing.
Yeah.
They can change gears. They can lift the game. They can drop the game.
And no one can deny that Brian Lara was a special person, right? Nobody can deny that.
Mr. Josie, Brian Harris is my good friend.
That's
Believe
nice.
me.
That's
That's
nice.
my buddy.
Anyway, caller, let me ask you, where is Bermuda in regards to the vaccine? Are you guys getting it soon? Do you have it already? Where is Bermuda?
I told you about a month ago, Bermuda, they show you the aircraft, British Airways, touching down at the airport with, I think it was 75 or about 19,000 doses or something like that. Bermuda had it about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and that has been administered. It has been administered already? People have been vaccinated?
Yes, man, we're talking about it for mine now.
But
Okay.
don't forget,
Okay.
Bermuda is considered a kind of developed island where it is there.
Well, it's highly British, so.
Let me tell you something, man. You guys are amazing, man. You guys are amazing. Let me tell you something. Anybody that vote against our Chastanet is idiot.
What's the temperature in Bermuda now? What's the
Right now it's
outside?
not too bad. Right now it's about 61.
Yeah.
All right, caller, well, let me get.
Hold on, Chop. They don't chase you. We chase you.
I'm not chasing you. I'm trying to get some of the callers in.
Okay, no, that's so true. So Michael, and Mrs. Chastanet, Lady Chastanet, rather. Thank you for your son. Thank you for your son, man. I have a lot to say, but I'll let somebody say some more.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And anytime St. Lucia get rid of him, I'm done with politics and I'm done with St. Lucia.
All right, caller, thanks a lot. All right, and 4560931 is our number if you'd like to call in to ask a question. We want to stay on the vaccine. Let's do a call. Special good morning to you. Hello.
Yes, good morning, Champion. Good morning, Sir Michael.
Morning,
Yeah,
morning.
good morning.
Mr. Josie.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Josie, first of all, don't forget that you have a date with Dr. Sikat tomorrow afternoon.
As a matter of fact, I spoke to a young man whom I want to talk to as well, and I told him I'll be here at 4.
Mm-hmm.
I also told you what time I'm leaving, huh?
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Once
let me tell
half
you.
an hour, we good.
Let me tell you something about me. I am a time person, eh? When I was growing up at Vieux Fort, everybody had to be on time, especially if you work with the Americans, okay?
Well, when you come to my program, my brother, I always on time.
Yeah,
All right,
I know I starting at half
I
past
will be
4.
here. Sigwe, mga isi apu 4:30. Mga vide pou mnukantu ansam a 4:30 demain si Dieu vle.
Ah oui.
God willing, okay? Like I thought about 5:15, 5:30, I'm gone. God willing.
Pas de problème.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Doc, with your
Bon,
contribution.
question, je vais demander, qui manière, moi, Naivla CD, a dans sa opposition leader,
Okay, sir?
en CD, et bien, femme Greg.
Oh, okay.
Because tout le monde qui a parlé ce même bail là, vindictiveness et puis victimization.
Yeah.
Vous comprenez?
Yeah.
Monsieur pas qu'à upgrade speech pièce. Exercice ce qualité ce nom là. Nous voulons faire pas ministre pour INU dans nous.
C'est pour là ça vous avez fait ainsi, oui. Because si vous répétez un bagage assez, comme M. Trump a fait, ok? Comment ça, M. Trump a dit? Rigged. Tout le monde dit c'est rigged. Après, les bons cas, quoi, hein?
Eh bien, ça m'a voulu faire, M. Josie, là, on vient là de M. Deville. Moi, je voulais vous parler de ces Jean Gouas là. Because over 50 years, moi, je vis vieux Fort-Neuf.
Okay.
Et puis, tout le monde dit là, c'est les bas. Et les bas, tiennent ces mouna en bas.
Ok.
Et présentement, représentative là, Yoni là, Labour Party can servi comme an instrument of life.
La tenir un monsieur dire moi te connaître bien, la tenir l'autre encore un chimère gosse, là où quitter la ka descend à Kodoka suicide la boui. Right. C'est mon ça moi ben là toujours.
L'année avec qui a mort là toujours.
Okay.
Sigwe, ouais, demain matin, où est que M. Peter Josie qui a un bel programme ici? Bon, parlez de moi à ce sujet, nous allons parler bon matin.
Moi, je veux M. Josie parler de pour comprendre. Ce n'est pas parce que mon ancien famille, eh bien, forcé, c'est où. Et qu'on savent, il n'y a pas qu'à faire pièce manière pour ça développer comme nous, pour qu'à continuer vote bail. Bon, il est pour Jean Gouas sorti en bas bagaille, les pas ça là, et qu'on veut dire yo.
Oui, champagne dernier jeune, tous les champagne dernier jeune garçon, ouais, moi dis c'est un jeune monde ici. Et moi content de m'en monsieur parler, bon moi c'est lui qui a monté en Gouas by Flambeau.
Yeah, that's Mr.
Oui,
Benson.
moi de côté
Benson London.
Yeah.
Vous connaissez?
Oui, moi connais la famille.
Well, moi voulais jouer avec monsieur because moi voulais aider comme on peut.
Oui, nous n'y pouvons aider.
Oui, avec l'once ça.
Là où nous finissons et puis Moussa, nous avons un ticket pour aller London.
Non, pas ça tout seul. C'est pour quitter anti-place, la gonfler fort. Côté, à sous soleil levant airport là, right? Teasing plus haut. Nous ne pour quitter anti-côté de l'eau pour Moussa et Gouanchli. Mettez Zagaya pour jouer avec Zagaya et quoi Malzawaï. Et quoi Malzawaï.
Dr. Siglet.
Okay.
Dr. Siglet.
I just cannot understand year after year, election after election, Viewfort not been voting for Labour and there's no development, nothing is happening there. Absolutely nothing. And to make it worse, the man is related to me, my cousin that is there.
Maybe that's why, because they're not seeing the difference. They don't know there's a difference. So,
Doc, bon, moi ça parle pas où?
They will have to see it because nous voulons.
Dr. Secret, est-ce que ça parle pas où, Dr. Secret?
Oui, vous avez parlé.
Because demain, où est Mr. Peter Josie, il y a un programme ici, qui parle about tout before now. Moi, je vais écouter, moi, je vais juste couiller. I want you to tell to me, how excited are you with the news that we are going to be having the vaccine for the coronavirus?
Well, I am happy to know that among the small island or the small country in the world, that St. Lucia getting an opportunity at early stage to get it. But something, I think I'll be the last person to take it.
All right, that's your opinion. All right, my friend. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Anyway, okay. Just remind the people at 4:40 today.
That's right.
Dr. Sigrid Kaya community. Dans chaque communauté ici, moun ta kouime. C'est moi ça qui ça qui a passé en communauté. Expander, rien content passer ça.
Beautiful.
Well, we'll see tomorrow, God willing. Okay.
Yeah. If you want to talk, you take out for. Well, you wanted to ask a question. Yeah. Okay, but go ahead.
That's okay. You know, and Doc and Peter Josie, they have their program tomorrow, so I didn't want to engage in too much time there. And I know it's going to be a great program because it's going to be a Creole program. I wanted to say that I believe today the St. Lucians should be very excited about us getting that vaccine. Now, we have heard of so much talk in relation to people have their different opinions on taking the vaccine. Specific, good morning to you, hello?
Hey, man, Champagne.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, man, Champagne. Good morning to Mr. Josie and to Michael Chastanet.
Yeah,
good morning.
Good morning.
Well, boy, it's good news to hear that St. Lucia getting that vaccine ahead of time. You know, and then I listened to Mr. Philip Jip here, and in my opinion, man, this guy think he's the Prime Minister of St. Lucia. You know what really struck me is when he went to the meeting, and then, I think it was sometime last week, NIMAC meeting, and man, Missy is a joker, guys. The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister to update St. Lucians on what happening. Bougla Pondouvain, could you believe that? When the government asking him to join hands and let's fight the war against the pandemic, the man stayed away, disrespecting, you know, the frontline workers and all kinds of people that are trying to make things easy for St. Lucian and sending who he wants, you know, sending senators. Why could you believe that? And this man want to govern St. Lucia. In my book, is no way Mr. could govern St. Lucia. And let me tell you, the arrogance of the St. Lucia Labour Party, that will never die. It's getting worse, and worse. And I hope, in fact, I know for sure, based on some of the pictures that I saw on St. Jude, because a lot of them staying quiet, they're monitoring, so they could send their missiles. But the missile is not going to land because St. Jude will open ahead of its time, the prediction time. And foremost, let me tell the St. Lucia Labour Party supporters, it's either you in or you out. And I take that very, very serious. Because we don't want to put jokers in power and the country can move forward. Look at the pandemic. Look at all what is happening in terms of the road work, St. Jude's and the airport. And you could go down the line. And solutions, do not forget, look at Soufre. For a man's first term in politics, look at where he took Soufre. No candidate has ever done the work that Harold Stanislas has done. And look at Ancillary Canaries. First time rookies, The fellows coming there, the fellows performing. And you're telling me I will kick those guys out? Man, I want to give them another 5 years.
10,
to see
15.
that our constituency is proper. And if them fellows could work for another 5 years and to bring all constituencies at the level it's supposed to be, because that's what voting people for. People are voting money and voting politicians for a shot of rum, chicken back, and this, that. Those days are gone. We voting people that could work in the interest of St. Lucia and to create the opportunities for St. Lucians.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have people like Philip J. 25 years, Marshall going nowhere. I drove to Marshall recently there and I'm afraid. I'm going to Independent City. I tell that man, sir, you think you better just come and meet me by the church or somewhere in town? The man tell me why I have to go. I think after so long, I left Marshall. That place is scary, sir.
Why is Marshall scary? I know the roads are bad, but why is it scary?
Well, whatever that is in my head will never come out in my head.
Marshall.
So when some people live in their areas, they're going in areas and making it bad. And areas where they live in, fellas live in their area and they're going, that's what it is, Champagne. I don't even want to go in that.
Listen to me, and I'm a resident, and Marshall is Marshall because we have had poor representation. Like every other community, if you have a better form of representation, you have a better way of living. Marshall is no.
To get people out of the pit toilet. Come and tell me about.
So caller, before I let you go,
Another big bluff again.
Before I let you go, caller.
Bluff again.
Before I let you go, caller, let me say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Castries East have had poor representation for the last 25 years. The constituency has deteriorated by the minute. And this is the state that this constituency is in today. And I'm hoping that the people of Castries East will do the right thing this time, finally, in getting rid of the rep there that we have there for the last 25 years and get someone that could make a huge difference. And I'm saying no more on that for now. All right?
Yeah, man. Big respect.
All right. Have a good one, caller.
Yeah,
beautiful.
have a good day.
All right. All right, St. Lucia, it is 7 minutes to the hour of 12 o'clock. So, Michael, don't you believe that St. Lucians should be very, very... And I want to stay on this vaccine thing for a little while because I don't know if every St. Lucian is paying attention to the outside world. When I get up in the morning and I'm home, I watch the news. And this coronavirus has destroyed the world. It has destroyed the world. And apparently, St. Lucians are not taking this thing seriously. And not just health-wise, in the economic, in your way of living, your livelihood. And the Prime Minister used those two words. Let's do a call. And after that, I'm going to put up the line so we can talk about this. Beautiful morning to you. Hello.
Morning, Champagne.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Josie, morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
And
Sir Michael.
Sir Michael.
Morning.
Champagne, I was listening to Mr. Josie this morning, right?
Yeah.
Concerning that video thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that video all in Barbados now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that woman should get locked up.
Yep. We all
that
agree on
woman
that.
that put she hand all in the police face,
Mm-hmm.
she should get locked up. Okay? Because if she was in Barbados, she would get locked up.
Thank you, caller.
That disrespect.
Thank you,
okay?
caller. Thank you.
She don't listen. If she was in Barbados, either she lock up or she do some community work. Okay, she will be all in the city, sweeping the city, cleaning the city.
Yeah.
Because that is not nice. And people, even the Belgian telling me that is not nice. Okay.
But caller, here's
you know,
the problem.
Belgian telling me that St. Lucia is their second home.
Yeah.
Okay, because they love St. Lucia.
But caller, listen.
I believe that the police should go and pick up that woman and do something.
Yes, I believe so.
That look bad.
But listen to me, caller. It continues to happen. This is the problem I'm having with it.
It can't happen no more because if you let them continue to do that, okay, everybody will do it.
But this is what I said 2 years ago.
That is the point. It has to stop somewhere.
A year and a half ago, the police went on an operation in Grass Street. And members of the residents, when they're pulling the police guns, and nothing was done about it, and I said it on the program.
Well, they have to do something. Everybody got to put their head together and do something.
I said,
okay, it cannot happen so.
If it happened there, it's going to continue.
This is a beautiful country, people talking about it, and to see that happened in St. Lucia.
No respect for the law,
they have to do something. Stop it.
No respect for the law in this country.
No respect at all.
Respect. No
I
respect.
tell you, if it was in Barbados, either she get locked up, okay, or else she in town cleaning the city.
So let me ask you a question, caller, before you go. Why is it so different in Barbados and St. Lucia? What is the problem? We are still human beings.
Well, Barbados got law. St. Lucia don't have law.
Well, we have laws, but maybe they're not enforced.
But they're not enforcing laws. Okay, everybody could do what they feel like in St. Lucia.
Thank you.
Listen to me. If they hold you, if they catch you with a gun, you know what happens? You have to spend 2 years in prison before you get bail.
Wow. Before you get
you
bail?
Understand? 2 years in prison before you get bail.
Wow.
Okay?
I didn't know that.
That's the law. Okay?
We must do some research and see if it is the French in us that is causing that.
Okay, so St. Lucia have to do something.
Yeah, definitely.
Because everybody's talking about how nice St. Lucia is and let them people come and destroy the country. That is not nice.
Is there any announcement made by the Prime Minister in Barbados for the vaccine? Any announcements?
Well, the Prime Minister got it already.
Well, I know she got it personally, but I'm talking about for the citizens.
No. She had nothing. All I heard that she said that she get it already.
Yeah, I know. I heard that.
But today is closed down.
Yeah, lockdown.
Today shutting down though.
Well, let me give you some good news. Our Prime Minister announced last night that in 2 weeks' time we will be having our vaccine in St. Lucia.
Okay, that's good.
So you might have to come down as a St. Lucia and get and be vaccinated. Okay, caller.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Have a good day. All right, beautiful.
Josie, morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much. And thanks for your support.
Okay.
All right, beautiful. And I have to turn off the phone lines because I want to get down into something. We're almost into our time. And so, Michael, I was saying this coronavirus thing is very, 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 we want to use a word there, nasty. It has taken the lives of millions around the world. It has damaged economies all over the world. Huge economies, middle-sized economies, smaller economies that damage everything in this world. And for some reason, our people seem to not even paying too much attention to it. When I heard of the news last night, because none of us anticipated, we didn't know that the Prime Minister was coming out with this great news. Do you believe that St. Lucians today, this morning, I know you could speak for yourself and I could speak for myself, are very excited about getting this news last night?
But I have got several calls from last night, completely amazed that the Prime Minister was able to get that vaccine that quickly.
That's my point.
And the password was relief. Yeah, and that word relief speaks volumes. You know what relief means? The stress people were under. They're now telling you clearly.
Yes, sir.
They can now start to relax a bit, knowing that the site
is on its way.
That is right. It doesn't mean we have to drop our guards, though.
Yeah, it doesn't mean no, because it's not over. But you know, the thing is, you're running a race and you don't see the end of it. But now they see a green light at the end of that tunnel. Yeah.
I want to take this further with the Prime Minister, because all of the world has been struggling with the pandemic, and all of the world today would love to have the vaccine. the Prime Minister is not a boastful individual. He's not going to say, well, I had connections there and the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, and this called me. But I am believing that this Prime Minister pulled some strings to have us getting this vaccine in that quick time.
Well, it's a bit.
He's not going to say it,
yeah,
but I know this
it's
is
a
what
bit of both. It's an organization. I think what's it's called again?
something with the OECS or something. I think.
COVAX.
COVAX.
Yes. You know, and it's unity is strength, champion.
Yes.
When people get together, But everybody had to do their part. I'm sure all the prime ministers had to pull their part. But one thing I can say from my end, I know the kind of connection the prime minister has with those people, and it's like a team effort. Okay, you have some strong people, you have some not so strong people, but when these people push together, and I know the prime minister has a very good relationship with Mayor Motley, and Barbados is a well-recognized country, and whatever it is, it happened. We are so thankful for it, including myself, because I was getting a bit despondent when I saw all those numbers rising like that. What we're going to do? But today, we can see the writing on the wall.
Well, we just had a caller from Barbados, and he said maybe he missed it, but he's saying that that announcement has not been made in Barbados regarding the vaccine. Peter, where are you on this thing? Are we supposed to be very excited?
Let me just say something to you from my political experience, what I know for certain. St. Lucia is a small place, small island. The Caribbean is regarded as a small island, like the back door of the United States of America. But in all that smallness, there are important leaders all over the world, leaders that help head organizations that, like the OAS, the WHO. People like that, they know the outstanding individuals in the Caribbean. Okay? They know the islands that have traditionally been one way. Barbados has never changed hands. Barbados has the second oldest parliament in the world.
In the world?
Yes, from England, copied after England. Barbados was at one time mostly people of Caucasian descent. It was descent. It was like a small England thing. So Barbados has that leap and edge over us a long time ago. And the prime ministers of Barbados, whoever they are, it can be either Labour or the other party, they conduct themselves in a certain way. Okay? When you have a person like Alan Chastanet, who is friends now, it doesn't matter which party is in power, and comes with this profile, he has addressed the United Nations. The leaders of the world would have seen him. They know about him. They know what he stands for. They know how he moves. They know when a man like that takes a phone, like the Prime Minister of St. Lucia picks up a phone, the guy, the president, the president of the United States, even the vice president would know of him. They might even recognize his voice, especially during a video call. So this is something I've said before. This man, this prime minister we have here, is more likely to get a favor from a leader of another country. That is what people don't understand.
Thank you.
You don't
based on the connections.
Based on your connections, especially if you're a fellow who is well-spoken, and as I said, you have presence. You don't look like a guy who just came from
charismatic guy.
Yeah, as if, you don't know anything.
You have a big suit on you. One side of the suit is hanging down to that side.
Exactly.
You're not
Yeah, you're probably put together. I'll never forget. Anyway, let me not say it. I was going to refer to a guy who was, once I saw, one of our prime ministers, and you look at him, I saw him on television the first time, and you look at his tie, that is something I look at a lot. Up there, where the tie,
it's not.
You have to look at this and see how it fits.
Brother Peter, what you're saying there, some people may look at this as nothing. This is very important, the way you present yourself.
Champagne, I am trying to educate people.
That's right.
If they don't want to listen, that's up to them.
The way you present yourself, Sir Michael, has a lot to do with leadership.
You know what they say in life? Fine feathers make fine birds.
That's right.
But when we're talking about people of character, okay, and individuals in small islands, as Peter just mentioned, don't forget recently, look at Dr. Leon, okay? Look at his job today. He went up against all sort of high-class people in Barbados, and right in Barbados, where CDB is located, they had to bend to give him the job. Why? Because he had the credentials.
That's right.
He had the background. So,
And there's a St. Lucian.
Yeah, and it's a Lucian.
Our Prime Minister is well accepted throughout this world.
Yeah.
When this man walks into a room, like you said earlier, Brother Josie, he's accepted. The man is handsome, he is well spoken, he's intelligent, he's a visionary individual. This man will pick up the phone, like you said, and call Justin Trudeau of Canada and say, you know what, so this is what we in this situation, and they will listen to him.
You know what the Prime Minister...
This is the difference with this man.
You know what the Prime Minister told me once? We are talking about Sir John Compton. How much admiration he had for Sir John. He said to just the two of us, we were speaking at his hotel up in the north at the Chastanet. He said to me, Peter, you know, Sir John sent me once to a meeting to meet the Prime Minister of Trinidad, which was Mr. Manning. I said, oh, I didn't know that. Sir John told me, I want you to go to the meeting. I will introduce you to Mr. Manning by letter. All I want you to do is to sit and listen.
Mm-hmm.
As John Compton speaking to a young guy he just took, made a senator and made him Minister of Tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Sent him because that meeting was important. And who knows what Sir John was trying to train Alan to do. He said, go. All I want you to do, you'll introduce yourself to Mr. Manning, you'll give him the letter. All I want you to do is to sit and listen. Mm-hmm. Alan Chastanet told me that long before he became Prime Minister.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so Michael, we're going to go into that bridge. Before we have gone past our time, but we want to talk a little bit about that bridge that is going to be constructed down in cul-de-sac.
Yes.
And it's going to be, like you said earlier, it's going to be one of the biggest bridges ever been built.
The largest bridge ever constructed in St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any time frame on it when it's going to commence?
Yes, in the next 30 days, and it will take 18 months to complete, yeah?
Okay. The nature of that bridge is to, not to alleviate the flooding, but to some form of elevation.
The bridge has to be raised very high.
Yes.
And so as a result of that, they have to extend the road on both sides to be able to approach and to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, there's a lot of steel work. It's a very high-tech, it's not from what I'm hearing, that is going to be costing between 40 to 50 million US dollars.
US? Wow, that's 100 million EC.
Yeah, more than that, yeah. But it only shows you the extent, but that is not only a bridge, because they're extending the road almost to where Mega J's Massey stores, right to the roundabout, and that includes putting in a big roundabout where KFC is now putting in.
Okay, so to go around and head south.
That will transform cul-de-sac.
Here we have another form of employment again, maybe 200-300 people being employed.
That's right. But the important thing is, Champagne, once that bridge is finished, people have their fears have been put aside for the flooding.
You remember Hurricane Thomas?
That's right.
The amount of vehicles that were stuck there during
and
Hurricane Thomas?
Correct.
So this is a huge development for St. Lucia.
Yeah, they had containers floating all about the place. People nearly died in their own businesses. It's a lot of water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, people sometimes even come up to me and say, but Champagne, Mr. Chastanet seem to know more than the Prime Minister. You know what I say to them? I said, Mr. Chastanet has been involved with business for decades, over 50 years. He has connection. And a lot of people would love to speak to Mr. Chastanet before they speak to his father. And that is the fact. So when you come out here and you give us information, it doesn't mean necessarily coming from the Prime Minister or coming from the government.
I make myself, look at it, I'm a very curious person.
Yes.
For instance, I'll be honest with you, I've never been to Greece in my life. I've heard about it. I had to go and see for myself what was going on there, right? And that's why I'm bringing it to the public today to show them, because I'll tell you something. I circulated some pictures to some of my friends. They didn't even know where that was. They still don't know today.
It's true.
And that's why I think it's important that a certain sector of the St. Lucia, the business community and other people, should once in a while get together, take a little pick up our van, go down and see those things.
Yes.
I make it my duty to go down there and take an interest, because really and truly, it's my money being spent. My tax money is being spent.
You have to know what's going on with
Let me see what's going on.
That's right.
Are they doing the thing correctly? And I mean, can you imagine how long I've been going to Vieux Fort and Peter Josie, and Vieux Fort is always short of water. Now, there goes the vision of the Prime Minister. If you're putting down a terminal of that size, you're putting down hotels.
Yes.
Okay? What else are you doing down there?
The airport.
The airport.
Yes.
Yeah. You
St.
must
Jude's.
have a good supply of water.
Especially St. Jude's.
So, Michael,
You cannot have a hospital without water.
Precisely.
so Michael,
Yes.
if you put people 1st, you will put water first.
Yes, sir.
Water is life.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that is the campaign for the UWP and for the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
We are interested in putting people first. That is why we give them clean drinking water above everything else.
Yeah. Now, you made a comment a while ago,
Yeah.
and I responded to you about being a business person.
Yeah.
We owned Super J's when that hurricane came.
Yeah, Thomas.
Thomas. I know what it cost us. Millions, Champion.
Wow.
You have a supermarket with at least $2 to $3 million worth of stock and equipment, all underwater.
You lost everything.
Yeah, we have to start generators, everything, containers floating down. You don't forget those things. What is an old saying in life? Once bitten, twice shy.
That's right.
You cannot forget those things because it will happen again.
It will.
You had a virus 100 years ago, happened again.
Yes.
What have we got to learn today from that virus? Protect yourself, okay? Look at, there's only one company in the world that I know of that had insurance against virus, was the tennis place, was Wimbledon. Wimbledon was insured against virus, and although they're still being closed, they got over 100 million pounds
Yes.
in insurance payments.
Yes.
That's the only company I know. But again, what do you have? Wimbledon is owned by a number of business people who put their money together. Wimbledon, imagine that. The actual cost of the infrastructure and the land is in the billions, okay? And imagine that, Champion. They just open 2 weeks a year. And in that 2 weeks, they get enough money to run the place for a whole year, right?
It's true.
The lot of people that come to the UK just to go to Wimbledon.
2 major events per year.
And the same thing is happening here in St. Lucia. A lot of us will probably not be around another 100 years, you know, but you have to pass it on to your children.
That's
if
right.
anybody was in the 1918 Spanish flu, 60 million people perished,
That's
man.
right.
60 million people. Thank God today that science is where it is.
Science and technology.
And as you know, a vaccine that takes 12 years was done in 14
And
months.
this is the difficulty some people are having because of the short space of time that a vaccine.
But I try to explain to them, Champagne, that there's a template for that. You ever saw the way T-shirts are printed?
I think I saw it once. Yeah.
Yeah, you
in
have something that
just
like a
yes.
But if you have it in several parts, right? Like you have the word vote champagne or vote for champagne. So you have 3 different words, okay? You have the template there to put vote for and remove the name and put anybody else. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is how the viruses that, I say we, the scientists have had, they know they have programmed these viruses and they know exactly how they look like under the powerful microscope. So when they see a new one, they say, like if there's a series, AB, 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 or ABC, 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 right? So they know this virus. That is how the series, that is how it is built. But a new virus comes in and it has CBA, ABC, CBA. So that's a different virus. But so they know now, okay, the drug we have, that is how it's going to interact with that. We can tweak our own medicine to cause it to act with the ABC, CBA. You understand?
So they have already worked on A and B.
They already have all of the templates for the various viruses. This morning I heard you talking about polio and things like that. You think they have thrown away?
No.
Thank you.
No.
None of these medicines are thrown away. They have. And when Mr. Obama, President Obama, came to office, one of the things he did, I read about, was left instructions, and I think Bush before him did, on if there's a virus outbreak, right? Because the virus will be there. America's a big place. There's different climates, different people coming in. That is what the new president is supposed to do. But Mr. Trump, from what I read, I wasn't there, was so determined to get rid of everything that had Obama's name connected with it. They got rid of it. That's one of the reasons that it even take more time than it would have taken if they had followed the instructions Obama left.
Yeah. Do you remember if you took any vaccines for the polio time and bilharzia and yellow fever? You remember if you took any vaccine?
No.
You didn't? Never?
No, I didn't.
I took a vaccine for polio.
I took.
In school?
I took.
The bilharzia, when it came about, I think there was a vaccine.
There was
for that
smallpox as well.
Smallpox. You never took any vaccine?
I've never taken a vaccine in my life.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But you're prepared to take this one?
Definitely, yeah.
But you see, you're built like a giant.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
anyway, any last words, Sir Michael? It's now 12:15.
Yeah, I just say thanks for the St. Lucian public who have listened to us today and have contributed towards what we had to say. It makes us feel very proud, and we are very thankful to have that feedback. So understand that. So the next time we come again, we know what to provide them with, and they can, with their contribution, we can continue to explore and bring whatever information that I see out there to them every Wednesday morning.
Yeah, and I'm really happy that we're still on this coronavirus because it has hurt St. Lucia immense. Your last words, Mr.
I just want to thank the Prime Minister on behalf of the people of St. Lucia. I think he has done a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Especially concerning that virus. And I want to say to him, and if anybody is listening who knows him well, say to him that I have put away all the drinking I used to do because of that virus. Plus, I want to finish my writing. But when all that is settled, the two of us will have a good drink, at the hotel.
Yes.
I want him, okay, just as we used to be before he became involved as a prime minister or before he was elected to office, okay?
Yeah.
So I want to congratulate him and tell him, man, you know, one of these days we have to sit down and talk.
Yeah. You think he'll tell us...
Not politics, just talk.
Yeah. You think he'll tell us about any of the strings that he pulled to getting us the vaccine early? And I know he pulled some strings.
He might, because, you know, these are things people should know, and he should be able to pass that information because he's not going to be there forever.
That's right.
You understand?
That's right.
So I just wanted to thank him, and he can't do it without support, eh? And to thank all of the people around him, the government, the nurses,
Yes.
the CMO, the policemen, the firemen, all of the people who have worked so hard.
That's right.
You know, to keep St. Lucia and to say to the people of St. Lucia to stop misbehaving. Stop misbehaving. Let the wardens do their work. Support the wardens. Let the wardens do their work. Support them. Let the policemen do their work. Support the nurses, support the CMO, support the doctors, because we are all in this together. We are all St. Lucians together, and we have only one common foe or common enemy at this time, and that is the coronavirus.
In the next term of the Honorable Alan Chastanet, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, I want him to put more focus, more emphasis on security. I'm not bashing anyone, the minister or the police or anyone. For me, St. Lucia's security is not where it should be.
Okay.
I don't believe it is the place it should have been. It should have been much better. We cannot have little people, when I say little people, you know who I'm talking about, running around just doing as they please in our country.
No, well, I won't even say more security. For my part, it is the executing of the laws that are in the books. We have a lot of laws on the books, and we have to have the policemen with courage and the backup. And policemen must know, and I think a policeman with you the other day said it. The policeman must know, or the policeman, every policeman, woman or man, must know that once they are doing their duty and anything happens to them, the government and the people of St. Lucia will stand with them. There'll be sufficient money to pay insurance, whatever it takes. St. Lucia will be with them. That is one thing we can do to strengthen the police and to make sure they execute their duties.
You're not going to lose a vote over enforcing the law, I could guarantee you that. So, Michael, I said about your last words, but do you believe we need an upscale in our security?
Definitely.
Locally?
Yeah. I guess, once that pandemic is over, well, not the pandemic, it's over, but once the Prime Minister can, because this is really, I know, right before his eyes now, that whole situation of getting the country together, he will deal with those situations. He will. I just got a WhatsApp here, and I just wanted to pass it to the public. We have a lady called Miss Claudine Gilbert, who's worked with our hotel for the last 15 years, a very efficient lady, and her husband also worked with in the hotel industry. And their son of 21 is the 15th death in St. Lucia.
Wow.
He's number 15. And I want to send my condolences to the family.
Oh, my goodness.
Who just passed away. It would appear that he was a victim of the COVID situation.
Oh, boy.
And unfortunately, most of them have now to be tested.
Yes, everybody.
Yeah. So again,
You would know his age. You would know how old he was.
He was 21.
Can you believe it?
21
21 years of age.
Yeah.
Losing his life as a result of the coronavirus.
He probably had some predisposing thing, huh?
Probably had.
And this is my problem. The predisposable
Preconditions.
conditions or whatever it is. Yes, but people need to understand this thing will take your life.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. This is very
Predisposed
hard.
conditions or whatever you want to call it, it will take your life, and people need to take this
In
thing.
fact,
into
you have to be
consideration.
even more careful if you have, you know,
Yeah.
asthma, if you're asthmatic, you have lung problems, you have any kind of problems.
And before we leave, the curfew the Prime Minister instituted, you think it's a great thing?
It's
Yes,
fantastic.
I think it's great.
As an individual, I thought maybe it should be a bit longer, but then,
Yes.
you know, the Prime Minister has a lot of information I do not have.
Yes.
So, and he can do it in stages.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think Barbados, is it for 20 days or 10 days?
Barbados goes, I think they're going up to the 4th of March, so it
Yeah.
might be maybe 3 weeks, I
Right.
think, 21 days, something like
Yeah.
that.
And,
Yes.
you know, these are things that happen.
But on top of the closure of liquor shops and everything, I think that would span it into maybe 3 weeks because we had the closure of the liquor licenses,
Yeah.
which is 10 days, and now we have another 9 days, 19 days.
You,
so-
you know, yesterday, I was listening, I think it was could be Timothy's show, and
Yeah.
somebody called in to one of the body show, and they were saying, this guy made an observation. He says there are many people now who just go on people's land and set up a shed and just selling small bits of alcohol.
Really?
And when they make enough money, they stay on
They
the
put
same
an
land,
establishment,
they put
yeah.
a thing there,
Yeah.
and become and what you call it, and they become vendors for alcohol. Now, my father used to be head of customs for 30 years, so I know a lot of customs law based on what my father told me when I was a young guy.
Yeah.
And my father mentioned to me, I remember him years ago, that to be able to having a liquor license is not an easy business because really and truly, any liquor that you bring into a shop has to be documented and a book be kept of the liquor you keep in that place.
Oh, wow.
If government comes into the shop, I'm talking of many years ago when he was there, and you had to have, you bought so many bottles of liquor and so on, and you have a different kind of liquor,
Yeah.
you got a penalty.
So an itinerary was supposed to be there.
And also, your license was
Gonna
withdrawn
be
until such time that you make your peace with government. But of course, today these things
That-
have
that's
fallen
not
by the
happening.
wayside.
That-
Anybody is open, and this is a dangerous thing. Selling alcohol is like selling a drug.
It is a
yeah.
drug, in my
And
mind.
you know, and people have talked about that many times. If you're not supposed to sell to a person below a certain age, you have to see those. In the UK, you can go to jail for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, selling liquor to minors.
To a minor,
right?
yeah.
Now,
You know what I saw, Sir Michael, and I said that I don't know if it was on our program. I was parked on Pinier Street. And you know the less fortunate people, they come there at lunchtime,
Yeah.
you know, and they go into the CCC for lunch.
Yes.
The Red Cross brings
Yeah,
them
yeah.
lunch. And a guy pulled up with a station wagon, white vehicle. I just did not take the license plate. And you know what he did? He parked right along the CCC, the town hall, Pinier Street, and selling
selling
dollar
liquor.
shots to the less fortunate people, the same people that are there,
Yeah.
to come and get some food from the Red Cross. So the little $3 or $4 their family members gave to them,
Yeah.
this guy parks there. And this was the most disgusting thing for me.
Yeah.
And I said, but you all are struggling. If your family gave you a little $3 to be able to buy something a little later, this is what you're doing it with. You know what one said to me? That is good for the virus.
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy is selling dollar white rum,
Yeah.
dollar.
You know,
shots.
actually, talking about it, a guy called yesterday and they said, well, look at me. I don't, Peter, that since you're using alcohol to rub your hands, yeah, if we drink it, is it not good? I mean, they come up with all kinds of philosophies. You know?
It's like President Trump on the bleach.
Yes. Anyway,
Well,
gentlemen,
Lucia, thank you very much.
once
And,
again.
nice to be here.
Yes, until next Wednesday, gentlemen, God bless. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah, you
All right,
too,
Sanusi, we have come to another end of our program with our two statesmen, Honorable Peter Josie and the Honorable Sir Michael Chastanet. And they are honorable men for bringing us the information of history and of our beautiful country. Join us again next week, Wednesday, God willing, when we will be bringing you another program with our two brilliant statesmen. All right, let's do a little music, Sanusi, and then I'll be back and we'll talk a little bit.
White stars fall